aren't going to see them.
John, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. All right, good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the June 23rd, 2022 meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission. The first order of business is to call the roll call, and we'll see who's here. Commissioner Bill Boyven.
Here.
Commissioner Ed LaTurco.
Here.
Commissioner Indra Deb.
Here.
Commissioner Don Bernstein, he's absent. Commissioner Jennifer O'Riordan, she is absent. Commissioner Kent Moffett, he is absent. And the chair, Larry Cohen, for the record, I am here. All right. Next item of business is citizens' time. Is there anyone here? There's no one in the audience that I can see for citizens' time. Is there anybody online for citizens' time which is reserved for anyone from the public who would like to address the commission on some subject that's not on the agenda? All right, the record should show that no one has volunteered to say anything during citizens' time. Let's look at the agenda. We have a few adjustments. The first is a request for certificate of compliance. This was item number 4. It has been continued to July 14th. That's for 98-108 Middlesex Turnpike, the Yard House. It was a stormwater permit. We also have the continued public hearing for 29 Dolores Drive, Glad Valley LLC, David Vartanian, to demolish a single-family house and construct a new single-family dwelling. The DEP number is still pending, and it is proposed to be continued to July 14th, our one meeting in July. Could I have a motion to continue 29 Dolores Drive to July 14th?
So moved.
Second?
Second, Ed.
Bill, how do you vote?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
The chair votes yes by a vote of 4-0-0. 29 Dolores Drive is continued to the meeting of July 14th. Next, we have minutes. We have the minutes of May 26, 2022. Any discussion needed on any major points?
I didn't see them. I missed them.
I just sent them around today.
Oh, I didn't see them.
Oh, they were
Other
with,
meetings today.
they were with all the decisions, I think.
All right. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of May 26, 2022?
So moved, Indra.
Second?
Second, Ed.
Bill, how do you vote?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Larry votes yes, chair votes yes, so by a vote of 4-0-0, the minutes of May 26, 2022 are approved. Is it correct that the minutes of June 9th are not ready yet?
Correct.
That's correct, that's what I thought, I didn't see them. Okay. All right. Next, we'll skip down to continued public hearing. This is item number 5. Is Partridge Lane, Town of Burlington Engineering Department to upgrade the sewer pump station and force main, DEP file number 122-677. Do we have somebody from the engineering department here?
Yes, Brian White, Burlington Engineering Division.
Hi, Brian, how are you?
Hi, good, how are you?
Good, good, thanks. Do you want to say anything on behalf of the department? This?
I don't think there was anything else to add. If you want me to give a quick recap of the project, I can do that. Or if there's any questions.
Probably all we need is 25 words or less in case somebody didn't hear it last time, what it's about.
Sure. An old aging pump station. The pumps, one pump is no longer active because of failure, so we're proposing to rehab the whole station so that we get both pumps back working, and replace the force main, which is within the street. At the same time, all the work is taking place within previously disturbed areas, although the pump station has bordering vegetated wetlands surrounding it.
All right, that was more than 25 words, but it was very concise. Okay, Eileen or John, do you have comments on this one?
So in addition to what Brian said, it's also in bordering land subject to flooding, but there's no increase in flood displacement with this project.
Right.
There's no other outstanding issues.
All right, so, Indra, anything further about the pump station on Partridge Lane?
Nope.
Ed?
No.
Bill? No. Chair votes no, nothing further on it. Is there anyone in the audience that has a question? Anyone from Partridge Lane or anybody else that has a question about what's going on? Okay, the record should show that there was no other participation from the public on this one. Okay, actually, I do have one thing. Eileen or John, is there, I know it's all on pavement, it's all developed, but are we within the 20-foot no disturb that a waiver is required?
Well, it's no closer than existing, so.
I mean, if you tell me, I'll take your word for it. Whatever.
We did draft in about a waiver for the no disturb.
You did?
Yeah.
So we should do, a normal procedure would be to just vote the waiver.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay. All right, so, Brian, have you seen the draft documents?
I had a brief chance to skim through it, but I have not had a detailed chance.
Yeah, well, we're gonna do a quick review. Obviously, you know where our staff lives in the town hall, so if you have any questions.
Sure.
And it's also very similar to the Francis Wyman
Yeah, it's
decision.
basically the same one.
Right, but you,
Yep.
Oh, so you've seen it, you've sort of seen it before, in other words, let's say.
Yeah,
Alright.
I was gonna say if there's any, unless there's anything that's wildly different that we should be aware of.
All right, so Eileen, would you like to, or John, would you like to review?
Yeah, I'll read it out. John needs to save his voice today. So the proposed project consisted of updating the existing sewer station and replacing the existing sewer force main. The proposed work would be within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland and in bordering land subject to flooding, also known as the 100-year floodplain or 1% annual chance flood hazard. Then we put in a short paragraph that came directly from the NOI just to describing the parts that are being upgraded. It was filed in May and we did all the usual things for filing. All the various plan references, none of which had to be updated because there were no particular issues with it when they presented the first time. The project involved work that would occur within BLSF and the 100-year buffer zone to BBW. An estimated 10,000 square feet of bordering land subject to flooding would be temporarily impacted. However, overall flood storage would increase by 10 cubic feet. All work would be with already altered land. The Commission finds that the bordering vegetated wetland delineation is accurate and work within or close proximity to the resource areas can generate adverse impacts to these areas. There's no drainage system in place at the pump station at present, but he did indicate where it met the stormwater standards. Other findings, this is where we're putting in about a waiver was required for work within the no disturb setback. Since the disturbance, including a dewatering basin, is temporary, the Commission granted a waiver. The Commission has a 50-foot setback requirement for commercial projects from BBW. The Commission finds the work was no closer than existing conditions. And since this is a town project, we are not proposing a bond. Let me go over to order. I can just switch between them, sometimes I can. So the order references the same plans and all of the initial conditions are standard ones, and Brian has seen them all before. They're all the initial ones are all the exact same as for the previous pump station work. Erosion control, we are asking for compost tubes and sediment filter fabric around the road and hay bales and sediment filter hay bales and filter fence around the pump station and silt sacks for the basins. Dewatering the site shall be effected only through the hay bale enclosure shown on the approved plan, which is details 2. Changes to address additional or unexpected requirements shall be approved by the Conservation Commission before implementation. For any work that could cause temporary impacts to resource areas other than as has been described, the applicant shall seek approval from the commission or their agent for implementation. Then the next ones in that section and in pollution control conditions are all standard about how much soil or how much fuel you can have on site and what happens in the event of a spill. No pesticides, herbicides, fungicides shall be used within 100 feet of wetlands, and that condition will be on the certificate of compliance. And then there's the explanation of what is required to get your certificate of compliance. The only condition, perpetual condition, was number 46 about the pesticides.
Okay. All right, Brian, any questions?
Nope.
All right. Any questions from the commission, comments?
Done.
Nope.
Record. Okay, the record should show there are no further comments on this, on the proposed draft documents. All right, therefore, can I have a motion to close the hearing on DEP file number 122-677, which is the sewer pump station located at 12 Partridge Lane?
So moved.
Second,
Second, Ed,
Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed,
yes.
Bill?
Yes.
The chair votes yes by a vote of 400. The hearing is closed. Could I have a motion to grant a waiver of the 20-foot no disturb zone because the work is in an already developed area and that the disturbance, including the dewatering basin, is actually temporary? Is there a motion to grant the waiver from our regulations?
So moved. Indra.
Second,
Second, Bill.
Bill, how do you vote?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
The chair votes yes by a vote of 400. The waiver for this project is granted. Okay, can I have a motion to adopt the findings under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 for DEP file number 122-677 for the sewer pump station located at 12 Partridge Lane?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Second.
Indra.
Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Chair votes yes by a vote of 400. The findings are approved under Burlington Bylaw Article 14. Could I have a motion to approve the order of conditions for DEP file number 122-677 for the Partridge Lane Sewer Pump Station at 12 Partridge Lane under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 and the State Wetlands Protection Act?
So moved.
Ed.
Indra.
Second.
Second, Bill.
Okay, Bill, how do you vote?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes by a vote of 400. The order of conditions for 12 Partridge Lane, DEP file number 122-677 is approved. Ryan, good luck with that project.
Thank you. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Good night.
All right, thank you for all your help on this.
Good
Okay.
evening.
All right. Okay, Partridge Lane. Okay, next we have a continued public hearing, 102R Wind Street, Sung Ho and In Ho Lee to replace a culvert, restore wetlands and a stream bank for DEP file number 122-666. The address, if I didn't mention it again, is 102R Wind Street. Mr. Dresser, are you here?
I am here.
I knew you were because I could see you on the screen. All right, would you like to introduce yourself and anyone else, if there's anyone else, and then say anything further?
Sure. Steve Dresser, Dresser Williams Way, representing Inho Lee in the matter before you. Inho is on as well as his brother Peter. If you have any questions, they'll be glad to answer them. We've gone through this quite a bit. It's a continued public hearing. There was a culvert that was displaced and there was an enforcement order. Ultimately, for this particular file, we're going to replace the culvert and put a footbridge over it. I think we all kind of know the details of everything, so I can turn it over to John. He did, I think when we left the meeting the last time, we were going to try to withdraw the old.
Everybody.
file number and,
Yeah.
but we're gonna go in a different direction.
I can clarify that. So I probably made things overcomplicated last meeting where I said that they should just close out the original order. The original order was for the construction of the house and the stream going under the stream with a sewer line. And that was basically, and obviously the stormwater permit is part of the notice of intent for the construction of the house. Thinking further, so, and then we have this separate order for actually the work in the culvert, in the stream.
This is all part of the same application.
Well, there, I mean, the enforcement order was the result of unauthorized work in, in the culvert, which wasn't part of the original NOI. So thinking about it, I realized I made it overly complicated. We just should keep both orders open. One order, the original order was for the construction of the house. The sewer line is now not going under the stream, but it's still going to be in the buffer zone because it's going out to Duncan Road. So it's a less impactful project, and we can approve that as like a minor engineering change, basically moving the sewer line from going out to Wind Street under the brook and instead going over to Duncan Road. Then the filing for the crossing should stand on its own, and that's what you have before you on the agenda, and that's what.
Just the crossing.
Just the crossing, which was initially going to be to put in a box culvert to replace the round metal culvert. Since they no longer need that driveway, it's just going to be a footbridge with no culvert. So it's a big improvement on what originally was there, a big improvement on what they proposed. It's better than a box culvert. So we should just approve that project, close this order out. So they'll have two orders of conditions, one for the house construction and sewer line, and one for this culvert/bridge.
And this pedestrian bridge is also covered under the house one as well?
Oh, it's this one.
No, it'll be just this one.
Okay.
Yeah,
And you thought you were making things less complicated.
sorry.
All right.
Yes.
So the culvert/bridge is what you're voting on, what the public hearing you have tonight, ready to close and issue on.
All right. Okay. With all that, Mr. Dresser, do you wish to continue or are you all set?
No, I'm all set. We did receive the conditions. I just have one comment if I could. Just
You want us to go through them first? Okay.
some acknowledgement that the Mass Streamwater crossing standards that we've submitted calculations showing that we're in compliance.
Okay.
I'm just saying that because DEP did comment that they wanted to see those, so. Just
Right, sounds like a reasonable request. You agree, Eileen?
Yep, yeah, we can definitely.
Okay. All right, she's nodding her head, Steve.
Okay,
No problem in that.
I can see her very, very little in it, but I can see her.
Okay, isn't technology wonderful? All right. Okay, so do you have comments on what they're proposing, which is a much more benign approach to design?
Right.
Okay,
Bridge is always preferable to a culvert.
right. So do you have any comments at this point? Are you okay with what's proposed?
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, so the staff is okay. How about us? Indra, do you have anything further on this one?
Nope.
Ed?
No, very clear.
Okay, Bill?
Is the bottom of the channel going to be restored to what it was originally, or is it going to be made a little wider, deeper? I mean, what's going to change in that? Anything?
It'll be restored to what we presume was originally the culvert's been there for, probably at least 80 years from what we can tell from the deed record.
Oh,
So it'll be, match what's there before the culvert.
okay, that's right. The culvert was there. Okay. So that's going to be back to natural. That's good.
Okay,
Yes, very good.
I don't have anything more before we get to the review. Is there anyone who would like to say anything for the project at 102R Wind Street before we review the proposed permit documents? Okay, the record should show no one further participated in this hearing. All right, so Eileen, would you like to do the review?
Sure. So there's a whole list of public hearing dates because this went on for quite a long time before we Steve was able to come up with their final option. So the filing history and the description is a little bit complicated. I will go through most of it just to get everything out there. This NOI was filed in response to an enforcement order for the removal of an existing 18-inch pipe culvert and installation of a concrete box meeting the stream crossing standards with restoration of impacted stream bank. In June of 22, the NOI was amended to be for construction of a 4-foot wide, 12-foot long footbridge and restoration of the stream channel and bank and seeding of the affected land close to the bank. So last summer, it came to the attention of staff that backhoes were being used to dig around the culvert, work that was unauthorized. That was halted. An enforcement order was issued. The area was temporarily stabilized. A second enforcement order was issued on November 24th, allowing installation of a concrete box culvert and requiring notice of intent for retroactive approval of the culvert and for stream and wetland restoration. And notice of intent was filed at that time for removal of the culvert, installation of an open bottom culvert, repair of the existing degraded bank and restoration of the stream channel. After some negotiations between the applicant and the neighbor who owned the land on which the culvert was located, an updated NOI was filed for the removal of the culvert, restoration of the stream bank and construction of a footbridge on June 9th. The Commission finds that the footbridge is more protective of the stream bank and channel than either the original 18-inch culvert or the first proposed concrete box culvert. And then there's some background, which I think John really explained about how the work was initially, for the first order of conditions, was for a directionally drilled sewer line. And this is how it came about that they did some damage to the culvert in the first place. Do you want me to read that out? Do you want me to read that part? Okay. So then we document all the plan references, all of which were updated in May. The project is exempt from the Massachusetts Stormwater Management regulations. Erosion controls will be implemented during construction. Mr. Dresser did detail the stormwater standards, and this permit will also serve as a permit under the Erosion and Sedimentation Control bylaw. And in this instance, we are proposing a bond of $3,000. Let's see if I can switch between the two things without losing you. Oh, it worked. So onto the order of conditions, Steve has looked through them and he knows that these are mostly fairly standard. There are a few additional ones because of the nature of this particular project. They're going to contact us once erosion controls are in place and DEP sign is in place and the order has been recorded. They will apply erosion controls shown in the reference plan. These are just highlighted because I took these from the drawings and I just want to make sure that this is correct. A sandbag cofferdam with an impervious polyfabric liner shall be installed upstream of the culvert prior to its removal and shall be inspected daily and replaced immediately if leaks or instability are observed. A material shall be stockpiled at the location indicated on the erosion control plan, which is actually quite close to the stream, but it makes sense given the work. At the end of the workday, you shall sweep the driveway or the street unless there's no tracking, and we have the right to erosion controls. For work in the stream or riverfront rehabilitation, the restoration, and any stream bank rehabilitation shall be witnessed by a wetland scientist, and the installation of the bridge abutments and bridge shall be witnessed by a registered PE. No invasive plant species shall be planted anywhere. No additional grading beyond what's shown in the approved plan shall be permitted. The pollution control conditions are all standard about no debris, how much fuel can be on site, etc. No pesticides, herbicides, fungicides shall be used within 100 feet of the wetlands. And then there's a description of how to go about applying for a certificate of compliance. So we have to add in something about acknowledging that the stream crossing standards have been met. So that will go up under.
Could be in the findings.
It can be in the findings.
Yeah.
I can add it there. Are you okay with that, Steve?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, okay, so let me ask, Indra, any further comment on this?
Nope.
Ed?
Nope.
Bill?
No.
So I just want to clarify, the originally application was to install a box culvert, right? Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
We're not putting in any culvert because it's going to be free flowing, is that correct?
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so,
Then the box culvert was because it was going to be a driveway.
Right,
They
I
know
understand.
Eva Drive.
You don't need the strength, you don't need the structure. I get it. So in the original report by Norse Environmental, they make some recommendations. So I'm just curious if any of these still apply, and if they do, if the order addresses this. One says, pump out any standing water across the driveway to the down gradient side.
Well, they're putting in the cofferdam? Is,
Yeah, I mean, there's potential for it, there's potential for it to be pumped out. So the restoration report, other than the stuff referencing specifically the box culvert, I think is basically, the same.
Well, the recommendation from Norse says, pump out the standing water across the driveway to the down gradient side. I don't know if that even needs to be said. It's kind of obvious, but.
Right, but that was to install a culvert. Now they're just taking a culvert out and they're not putting anything back in there. So you don't have
Needed,
acid really.
is that,
I think probably when they're pulling that, when they're doing the digging, you don't want flow in there.
right, so it might
They,
be,
they'll probably put the cofferdam in. It's pretty low flow right now. Not only is it summer, it doesn't rain. Probably when they put the cofferdam on, it will hold it for enough time, but they need to get some stability in there. So I'm not sure you want any flow kind of going through there while they're in its restoration process.
I mean, where else would you pump it?
So actually,
Yeah, that's good. Downstream, obviously.
it's a good point. We're actually in a drought. It might be a good idea to actually requirement for timing on this.
Right,
That the work be done by the fall or something.
Yeah.
Was that-
does that sound reasonable to you, Mr. Dresser?
Yeah, Peter, I assume you're gonna start this as quickly as possible. Peter, are you listening?
I gave them my scribble.
No?
I don't know, they're obviously eager to get in there, so I would assume they're gonna,
A condition.
And the next,
Because we're in a drought.
okay,
they'll be at the mercy for the footbridge, as how long it takes for that to be constructed.
right,
These days you don't know, but there's no reason to think they couldn't restore this stream bed quickly. I'm
and
sure they want to do that.
does the thing also says apply a winter rye seed mix to the bare soil to establish some growth before winter? Does that need to be said? Seems to me.
They do the work in the fall, yeah.
I mean, if that's not in there, Eileen, we should.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of where, so it was, we want the work done.
In the fall.
Yes.
By the fall. And before the planting season ends, growing season ends, apply a winter rye seed mix to the bare soil to establish some growth before winter.
Actually, do you reference your document in the references?
No, but I can.
Yeah, we can just reference that document in the list of documents and.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll say something like, apply seed per the reference document. Apply, something like that, But I'll reference the document.
well, it also says reestablish the stream channel and incorporate wattles along the bank. I mean, some of this,
That will happen.
I mean,
It's in, the erosion controls are in the,
I mean, with an engineer overseeing the work, that would be the normal approach anyway.
Yep.
Right, Steve?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Okay. All right, that's all I had. I just noticed that there were some recommendations. I just wanted to make sure that if they apply from the environmental company, that they're referenced or something. Okay? All right, so is there anything else?
Maureen's document. Add that in. No, I'm just making a note to put it, reference Maureen's document. Restoration plan.
Yeah. All right, are we okay? Ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. So,
Okay.
so I guess since there's no further comment, the first thing we'll do is close the hearing. Could I have a motion to close the hearing for DEP file number 122-666, 102R Wind Street?
So moved.
Second.
Second,
Indra, how do you vote?
yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And chair votes yes by a vote of 400. The hearing is closed on 102R Wind Street. All right, could I have a motion to adopt the findings under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 for 102R Wind Street, DEP number 122-666?
So moved.
Second.
Second, Indra,
Indra, how do you vote?
yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. The findings are approved under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 for 102R Wind Street by a vote of 400. Could I have a motion to approve the order of conditions for DEP file number 122-666 for 102R Wind Street under both Burlington Bylaw Article 14 and the State Wetlands Protection Act?
So moved, Indra,
Second.
Second.
Indra, how do you vote?
yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes by a vote of 400. The order of conditions are approved for DEP file number 122-666 under Burlington Law Article 14 and the State Wetlands Protection Act. Could I have a motion to require the posting of $3,000 performance surety under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 for DEP file number 122-666?
So moved, Indra,
Second.
Bill.
Any further discussion? All right, Indra, how do you vote?
yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The request to post $3,000 performance surety is now requested and approved by the commission. By a vote of 400.
Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Dresser, I think we're all set on this one.
All right, have a good night.
Yep, you too. All right, next. We're going to skip down now to 77 Drake Road. This is a continued public hearing, notice of intent by Gary Litchfield to construct a new single-family dwelling. It has DEP file number 122-675. All right. Mr. Litchfield, how are you tonight?
We're good. How's everyone?
Good,
Thanks.
good.
Yeah, good to be.
See you?
Leah is here in the Zoom, I believe.
Yes, I'm here.
Here, yep, okay. And everyone's seen the plan, so you got the new copies of the new, and we think incorporated everything that we discussed last meeting. And I had some comments on the order. I got a copy of it today, which was, I'm thankful.
Well, why don't you save the comments when we start to review it?
Whatever you think, sure.
Yeah, I mean, because let's see if there's any further comments on the technical stuff. Yeah, all right, so, John and Eileen, is there anything further on this one?
I don't think so. John and I went out earlier last week and we looked at the wetlands and we were in agreement with the whole wetland line and by the flag's not up. I don't really think there was anything to add. We did still have some questions from the plans, I think some of which Mr. Litchfield actually answered in an email that he sent to me right before the meeting, but we can probably discuss it now. We were still unsure about how they were addressing stormwater management of the rooftop runoff. And was there something else that we were thinking about?
Well, we were just anticipating Larry was going to ask for spot grades on the driveway, but
Oh, that's true. And also,
Can I ask about what?
that you were going to ask for spot grades on the driveway.
and also we were anticipating a possible discussion about some tree replacements.
I'm not sure I was going to ask on this one.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Fine.
Okay, I think we talked about that.
we hadn't talked about trees, so we thought we also anticipated we might talk about a few tree replacements.
Okay, so are there any issues where we need anything further from these folks?
But we need to know what's happening with the stormwater management
Okay,
but I do see something in your email. Maybe you could just say it verbally.
Yes, there were contradictions between the order of conditions that mentioned that, according to the plan, that we would be using stone trenches around the drip edge of the entire house. And it goes on to say that afterwards, it says, however, should you decide to use gutters, we need to see how the gutters will react, where the water's gonna go, and so forth. So I have no intention of using gutters. We planned on doing the drip edges. They're all noted on the plan of the house. And the contradiction was that in the wetland permit, it indicated that the roof runoff would be dealt with an underwater stormwater management, underground stormwater management located in the rear of the house. Nothing says we're gonna do it under the order.
I can explain that. I didn't see where you had said it was drip edge stone trenches, and I just.
No problem. No, I just figured there was some confusion on it. And the other one was just a housekeeping matter. On one document, it had me as the applicant, which I am. And the other document had Robert Murray as the applicant, which he is not. He's the landowner up until another week or so. But he signed for the, but I signed as the applicant, and the, I believe one of them has me as the applicant. If you look at the request, you know, for the NOI, it indicates that I am the applicant. I just figured the two documents should mirror, yeah.
Right.
I actually don't even think that's what he was talking about.
No.
I'm sorry, I took it from something else. We always do
Okay,
that.
yeah, no, I just wanted to point it out that,
And John just pointed out another mistake that I have to fix. We'll catch all those.
yep,
Okay,
All right, so we got the 100 scale plan,
yes.
and you talked about, you checked the line, you're satisfied.
Mhm.
Yeah, something about the limit of work for the construction of the house.
they did provide that on the plan.
Plan.
Yep.
We know about the waiver, we got the waiver request, rather complete waiver request. The stormwater off the house, we just talked about. Check. More on how, it says more on how much cleaning and erosion control and we already talked about that. All right, one of the things that we talked about is, Mr. Litchfield, I think you said something about additional screening for 79 Drake Road.
Yeah, and I put a note on the plan for both 77, 79, and I'm not sure her address, Mrs. Cates, she was here
Yes.
this meeting. I had him put a note on the plan. I think Mrs. Cates had a feeling my house was gonna be directly behind her. There's quite a wooded area at the end of her lot.
Right.
There's also gonna be trees that I'm gonna be able to leave on my property along the driveway. The house is another 100 feet south of her, so it's really behind the Hudson property. But at that point, there's still a good amount of buffer. So what I had him put a note on was, fence or optional screening to be determined, and I noted that on the rear of her property and also at the property for number 79.
All right.
And I sent the folks at 79 a copy of the plan, the completed plan that you have here by PDF today. And I made it clear last time when I met with them, when we get the driveway roughed in, you'll be able to really see it. Determine what you want at that point. I'm not hard to get along with. I recognize they want some screening, whether it's trees, hardy shrubs, a 6-foot, vinyl fence, whatever. But at that point, they can make a determination where they want it and how much they want. And the same thing, Mrs. Cates. I don't think well, I'll be looking into your lights. I said, I don't think you'll be able to see it. Probably the last 50 feet of her property, if you look on the, Google it, you'll see that it's very heavily wooded. So go in there and put a few, evergreen trees or something in there would be, ooh. But I'm happy to look at it at the time when the driveway's in and done, and I make myself available to my neighbors. And
sounds good.
So the note is on the plan.
All right, so it sounds like you want to be a good neighbor, is what you're saying.
Sure, I'm gonna live there.
I get it. Okay, now, let's see if the rest of the commission has any questions.
Absolutely.
And then we'll see if anyone's in the audience wants to participate, and then we'll go from there. All right, so on this one, Indra?
Nope.
Okay, how about Ed? Anything further on this one?
Nothing to add, thank you.
Okay, and Bill?
I do want to state that I appreciate the amount of effort you put into working within the system and within all the rules. I know you had heard me speak against this project in a previous venue, but given the fact that the rules have been followed and the process allows for it, I wish you luck in this dwelling, and I'm somewhat envious. I think you're going to have one of the nicest house lots in town. I question. I wonder, have you had any further discussion with the neighbor about the kennels and?
I have not. He was here at the last meeting. I told him when I got this wrapped up, I would be happy to sit down with him.
Okay.
I'm looking at it, I'll probably give him 6 months or
Yeah.
9 months, because it's gonna take me, the time I start the house, it'll be probably September, October.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at probably having the house done by June or July, so I'll work with him and.
Yeah, and he needs time to deal with it.
It's gonna take him
Yeah.
time to figure out how to do that. He's got a lot of little sheds, and maybe he can consolidate them, put one bigger shed on his property and a kennel.
I'm more concerned with the animals that are currently housed there and that they're, dealt with humanely.
Oh, he's I don't think he'd ever do anything to,
Right.
it wasn't the right thing for his animals.
Yeah, the Board of Health was at my house looking at my chicken coop yesterday. As a matter of fact, and I mentioned this, they were aware of it because Eileen had notified them. And they said they're not allowed to go on that property without your permission, so that may be.
Oh, absolutely. When I get down to it, if I need either the dog officer or the Board of Health or whatever, we'll reach out and, and I'm sure you've got your walking path that will probably, now that it's, you can pretty much identify it more so in your own literature to encourage people to be able to use it. I mean, it winds through and comes all the way back. I mean, it really provides tremendous access.
Okay, I may have a remaining comment, but I want to see if there's anyone else. Is there anyone else in the audience for 77 Drake Road? If there is, you should state your name, where you reside, and then you can start speaking.
How do I do that?
Well, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, my name is Michelle Katz, 58 Chandler Road, Burlington, Mass.
Yes.
I just have one quick question. I know Gary's allowed to build one single dwelling. Is that correct on that property?
That's what we're permitting.
And there's a condition on the variance that it can only be one.
Okay.
Does that mean he cannot build? Does that mean he can't build any other type of property?
Certainly no other houses. Might I put a shed in the back or something? That's a possibility, but right now, there's no plans for anything. The house is just for me.
Okay.
It's fairly moderate, and I got a 3-car garage. I don't think I will be needing a shed. So I don't see any reason for any other structures at this time. Yeah. And certainly not another house.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you for your comment. Anyone else? All right, I don't hear anyone else. I have 2 quick questions. Did we have some discussion about trees to be taken down or some more definition on that?
I intend, and we talked about it, and I said I'm intending to take down any of the trees I need to get the driveway in, and there was no reason to take down any others. In fact, Leah and I discussed in the mitigation area that we're doing, there was a few fairly small trees and a lot of shrubs that were going in the mitigation area after it's graded to the proper elevation. There are some large trees in there that typically would come down. She thinks that, and I'll let her speak to it, but she thinks they can be left there and that we can, mound up and leave them there, which I think would be.
Let me ask you, would you object to a condition that says any additional trees beyond what's needed to construct the driveway, that you just contact the office and would agree to a 1-to-1 replacement or something?
Absolutely, and that, as long as it's within your edge of jurisdiction, clearly. Yep, I would agree, sure.
All right, just wanted to check with that. Now, the second.
Before you move on, the trees in the driveway area on the plan, actually shown on the plan.
Yeah.
So there's a limit of work around the house, which if you're sharing the plan, if you just lower it a little, so there's the 100-foot buffer zone comes up fairly close to the house.
Yes, on the left side.
Plan. So presumably there's trees there in the buffer zone within the limit. And those trees are not marked on the plan. So I don't know, we don't know what's in there as opposed to.
Yeah, I've got plenty of room on the other side of the house. The only trees that I would do when I get in there and get the house going, anything that looks like it could be problematic as a windstorm or something like that, but.
So does that mean you're not clearing the full limit of work?
100% of the limit of work, I would say, no, I'm not. No, it gives me that limit of work, but no, I'm not planning to clear it. There's a lot on the front there. That limit of work, I would say I'm probably gonna be up 8 or 10 feet from it, but when we're grading in there and so forth, because that's a fairly, right there, it's not too steep at all, but coming up, as you can see the contour lines, it does get a little steep coming up there. Behind the house, I put the limit of work there. I don't plan to go beyond that limit of work. And for the backyard, I would say I would probably cut the trees there to give myself a backyard. But I'm not as concerned certainly with the front yard. And there's a lot of pavement. You got the driveway for the garages.
So if we have something, any trees that are not marked, you come and talk to them and then we'll propose something.
You know what I'm happy to do? I get the area cut and we get the.
I'm not trying to limit you from having a backyard. That's not the point. The point is normally we have a replacement of 1-to-1 and particularly wooded area would be nice. If there's some places that need trees because you're taking some down, nice in that area and let the staff work it out with you.
I agree with that.
Right.
Yeah, and I have no issue with it. The backyard, I would clear it. I think it's about 50 feet.
Yeah, I mean, you may want to clear some trees, I'm anticipating, just for a modest backyard is what I'm.
When I get all of the, what do you call it, the limit of work all staked out and the hay bales and everything in,
We can look at.
I'm happy to take a look at it. Yep, then you will know exactly what we're working on.
Fine.
Okay, you okay with that, John? Further adding the language about trees in there? Permit, okay.
If I could just make one note,
Yes,
for the replication area, Gary, this is Leah Basbanes, Wetlands Consulting. Regarding the replication area, and when Gary was mentioning about leaving some of the trees in there, I guess what I would ask is during the construction of the replication area to allow some sort of flexibility and in-field adjustment to perhaps we need to get the proper area of the 1,450 square feet, but the trees we want to save, we want to also to be able to not interfere with the root structure. So that may make the area be a little bit different configuration than what it is. So I would ask for permission for field adjustments in order to save the trees that are there, but also be able to excavate this to the proper size.
If I could make one comment, is that if you, when we get everything laid out, you'll be able to see exactly where the replication area, we can see if we're talking about 2, 3, 4 trees, and you can make, a field call on it. It's, with 1,450 square feet, we said would be at 1,400, so we got a little room, wiggle room anyway. Anyway, would you rather end up with 1,375 or 1,360, but keep that, big oak tree? I'm good either way.
all right, so I'd like also.
Looks like 3 sizable trees in there.
Yep.
30-inch, a 24-inch, and another 24-inch. So those are.
Yeah.
Trees.
All right. So I'd like to echo Bill's comment because I expected, frankly, I expected this to be more difficult. Okay, because I saw with the wetlands crossing and everything, but it appears you have minimized the amount of wetlands filling and therefore the amount of replication, and you were able to do 2-to-1 and you were able to meet all the performance standards. So I think the team that you hired to do all this clearly did a very good job from my perspective. So you must.
Assembly is going to raise the price.
Yes, thank you.
So you must be pleased that this has gone through fairly.
I am, but I stayed on top of it in the meetings we had in the original meeting that I had with Leah and with Chris Mello, back and forth several times before we came to see you.
All right.
And that was very helpful because
I see.
we got away from that meeting. And that's, I think it shortened this whole process.
So if you're pleased with the process, that must mean you're in a good mood, so therefore I can ask my question.
I got a couple comments I'm gonna add to
Yeah,
at first.
I'm setting you up, so hopefully I'll get a good answer from you. The area that you're proposing to give, we're very grateful for. Okay, and it amounts to about 150 feet from the stream bank, the wetlands, I believe the stream wetlands flags there. This is what I've just sort of penciled off with my ruler. Okay, and it's about 50 feet from the path. Would you consider extending the amount you would grant to the commission for the whole 200-foot riverfront?
Somebody asked that at the last meeting, didn't they?
Yeah,
Yes, they did.
They did, but I thought you'd be in I thought I'd go at it a second time because I figured you'd be in a really good mood. And let me tell you, that actually, when I was looking at it, just to put a little more sweetener on it, it looked like about 270 feet. Looks like right now you have between your erosion control about 320 feet, roughly. As I said, I penciled it off. And if you gave us 50 more feet and came up, you'd still have from your back of your erosion control, you'd have 270 feet. I mean, I think I did it right.
Okay, yeah, you're not far off.
So I'm wondering if, given that much space, if you might consider giving us the entire riverfront.
Consider that. I want you to consider that I thought that the $5,000 cash bond, if you will, for me to build a single-family house was excessive. I would think, number one, I've got to be able to move into that house. I need an occupancy permit. I can't get one unless all the work is completed and that your department signs off. So if you were to waive that as a necessity and have no bond, understanding you've got plenty of juice with an occupancy permit, I will make it, put that line to the 200-foot.
Could we agree on reducing the bond?
Not really. I don't see, I've never been a FA. I just don't.
I've never waived the bond, though. That problem is it sets a precedent that's bad. That's the problem.
Well, you usually don't get extra land beyond what was offered either. And, you know, I think when we did, and we had a lot of wetland concerns on Francis Wyman Road. I believe that was 2,500. This is a lot less jurisdictional other than the wetland thing. Put the bond at $1,000 and I'll agree to that for 2 years. And that gives you plenty of growing season.
The extra 50, 60 feet, John?
Francis Wyman Road was probably $2,500 for each lot. There were three of them.
I agree, but it was 3 single-family lots.
Yeah.
I said, you know.
But so there was no wetland on those, and there was no wetland replication.
He wants to move in.
But it's your call, Larry. I think the just thought was that we have to make sure the wetland replication gets done. You know, that's.
Yeah, and if it's not done.
Can't move in.
Then you can't move in.
You know, where am I going? I've only been in this thing for 59 years, 69 years, sorry. So
what you're saying is you'll extend the line that you will give us to the 200 feet and we'll reduce it to $1,000.
2 years, yeah.
In 2 years, right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it gives you something, you get to, I mean, it's 1,000 or 4,000, they're gonna make a difference. The house is, you know, $1.6 million.
I mean, to be honest.
Gotta get it done.
Yeah, the reality is, I don't remember hardly any instance where we have to use the bond to do something. It's usually doesn't happen.
Right, it's a safety net kind of thing.
It's a safety net.
You don't need it till you do. You know, hopefully you don't.
I don't ever remember actually using it, to be honest with you.
That's good.
All right. Are we ready to move forward?
I have one other comment or question. I have seen some other houses in town, single-family homes owned by developers that end up becoming a parking lot of trucks and trailers and equipment. Are you planning to store?
I don't store anything here other than my own truck. I might have to pick up there the night before a snowstorm, put that driveway.
I would recommend
You know,
that.
but no, I don't bring my home now. I don't have any trucks. I have a shop here right in Burlington on Grant Ave. and keep any tools, equipment, anything I have right there.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right. Okay, so let's move ahead then. John and Eileen, do you want to review the documents at all?
Yep, let's do that.
Give a quick summary of what? Okay, and then we'll close the hearing.
Good.
While Eileen's pulling this up, I want to point out that Leah and Mary were once job shared in North Reading. They were the.
Did they?
Yeah,
They were co-conservation.
back in 1999.
Yeah.
Been a while, but
When we were,
Short.
And
did you see her, Leah? She was just
who
waiting.
did you work for at that time, Mary?
I worked for the town of North Reading. We both did.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
from 95 to 99, and then I left for 7 years. Mary left North Reading. I started at North Reading, and I've been at North Reading since 2006.
Ah, okay. What do you do for North Reading?
I'm the conservation agent there.
Ah, I thought that's what it was. Okay, okay, got it. Okay. All right, so Eileen will give us a summary. And then...
Okay, so which part was wrong about the applicant? Was it on?
I don't have them in front of me.
The header.
Look, one says Murray, one says Gary Litchfield, so it should be
It's
reversed.
on a header possibly? Okay, we'll fix that. So this application was filed for construction of a single-family house with associated utilities and grading and approximately 350-foot long driveway to provide access from Drake Road. The driveway would require filling approximately 700 square feet of BVW and a total of approximately 1,450 square feet will be replicated on site, and the applicant proposes to donate 2 parcels of land to the town. But then we went through the filing history, all the plan and document references. The proposed work would be within bordering vegetated wetlands and within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. The commission finds this project is exempt from Massachusetts Stormwater Management regulations as it's a single-family home. In accordance with regulations, the applicant proposed to infiltrate the new rooftop area into drip edge stone trenches. And the driveway also 2 stone trenches. In addition, erosion and sedimentation controls will be implemented during construction, minimizing any impact to the resource areas. The project will entail 700 square feet of filling and replication of 1,450 square feet of on site. That will be supplemented by donation of 2 parcels of land, one of 19,000 square feet, that's mostly wetlands, and one of, this number has to change because Mr. Litchfield just very generously increased it, within riverfront, so the whole riverfront area to the town of Burlington. And in this case, we are now proposing a bond in the amount of $1,000. Okay, let's switch over to the order, which probably has some more changes to be made.
And just for your knowledge, that additional land will give you just about 50,000 square feet there, about an acre and a quarter. You know.
So just to clarify though, so you said something about 2 years. So you want to be able to come back and get the bond?
After 2 years.
Funded after 2 years.
Do I need to add something about that?
Yeah, because we do cash bonds only, so you'd have to come back and ask for the.
So instead of saying,
I understand. But
we're saying for 3 years. Sorry, for 2 years.
correct.
2 years, no problem. 2 years there, that's corrected now. Order, as I said, we're gonna make some changes here. Again, we went through the plan references, all updated this month. The first several conditions are standard, and I don't.
Can you stop at item 24 there?
Yes.
That says no work within any wetland resource area has been permitted. Well, that's clearly not the case.
Okay. To bordering vegetated wetlands and in wetlands and in BVW.
Yeah, I took that to mean that obviously we have to get in order to create the replication area. But I figured what that meant was that anything beyond what's agreed to, that, in other words, I'm not in there doing any other.
No, I think that was really just a holdover for me not properly.
The way it was worded was restricting you from doing anything in the wetlands, and that's not what we're approving, so.
Agreed.
Then the pre-construction conditions are mostly regarding, you will apply erosion controls and you'll put up your DEP sign and you'll pay your bond and record the order with the registry of deeds. Then you'll give us a call and we will come out and inspect all of those things to see that they're in place. Sediment barriers shall include but not be limited to hay bales and sediment filter fabric fence within 40 feet of the BBW. So only that lower part down here, the lower part of the driveway, I was thinking you just need some additional.
And where did you think that should be on? Well, hang, let me go to the driveway.
I guess I was really just thinking that it's sort of up to the edge of the wetland replication. Yeah, approximately where your finger is.
Okay.
Just about there. And then the rest could be staked hay wattles or compost tubes for the
Okay,
rest.
so you wanted an actual silt fence along here?
Hay bales and silt fence.
Hay
Yeah.
bales and silt fence,
Yeah.
okay.
well, Yeah.
Okay.
Material.
That's the 130 feet that you,
Yeah, I just approximated it.
because okay, yeah, it's probably a little less than that, because my question was between what flag and what flag, because that's probably a
That's a good point.
good
What
way to.
flag is nearest? And I'll put that in if that's easier.
8A and actually this is all on the outside of the replication area, so there is no flag to tie it to.
Well, I'll just say something about close to flag 8A.
Yeah. What we want is on the southerly side of the replication area. That's the southern side, is this side, so. Yeah, here's your north arrow, so this is on the southern side of the replication area, up to at least this point.
Yeah.
Right, okay, yep. Probably 110 feet roughly.
Okay.
I'm just trying to scale off what.
I can bring it down a little bit. I say 130.
Approximately, yeah.
Where am I done? Materials should not be stockpiled on the site within 20 feet of wetlands, and then at the end of the workday, you just need to keep Drake Road.
Yeah,
If you're
swept.
dragging anything out,
Yeah.
swept.
Standard.
No additional grading beyond what's shown on the approved plan shall be permitted without first filing a request with the Conservation Commission. Then the pollution control conditions, these are all standard. They talk about not dropping anything into the wetlands, cleaning it out by hand if you do. If there's a spill, where do you report it? And don't use pesticides, herbicides, fungicides within 100 feet of the wetlands. So rooftop runoff shall be infiltrated on site as shown on the approved plan using drip edge stone trenches. I'm going to remove the bottom one because.
Yes, that's fine. It doesn't need to be there.
Drip edge, and then we'll move that one there because he's not using gutters. And then under the wetland replication, I was thinking maybe in this one is where we put something about what Leah said about field adjustments. Construction and planting shall be supervised by a wetland scientist. Said scientists will work with staff at time of replication to make required field adjustments. Something like
Fine,
that.
yeah.
Does that work for you,
It's
Leah?
gonna be reasonable, and you are,
Yeah,
so.
that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, and then Leah will provide a weekly report as if this goes on for more than a week, just to keep us.
The replication area.
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to think we can get that done in a couple days.
Well, then she won't have to do one then.
No.
No invasive species shall be used. The replication area shall be excavated and seeded in accordance with the reference narrative, which was prepared by Leah Basbanes. And thereafter shall be left as naturally vegetated and shall not be maintained as lawn or landscaped area. Replication shall begin within 6 months of initial earth disturbing activities and must be completed prior to occupancy. This shall be noted in the COC as existing in perpetuity. No operation of heavy equipment within the wetlands. A report documenting the vigor and health of the wetland replication area shall be submitted by a qualified scientist after each growing season for at least 2 years. We're proposing that a post and rail fence or some other sort of demarcation should be erected at the erosion control boundary line, which is what we were talking about.
Along, yeah.
20 or so feet.
So after we put the, along here, the,
Mostly so that you don't accidentally drive into it.
yes, no, and I will probably use boulders because, number one, you don't move them at all with a snowplow. And, it just, the post and rail fences, I've done them. And, depending on a very moist, wet area, I don't care what they're made out of, but they tend to deteriorate.
Do you want me to switch it to boulder, or will I just leave it as is, so he's got some?
If he prefers boulders, I don't see an issue with that.
I do have a question on that too.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to include the 20-foot buffer that goes along with the new replication area or along the wetland edge?
It should really be along the driveway edge, so as much,
Right,
as much room as possible, so that you
Okay.
don't drive from the driveway into the wetlands.
Okay,
So whatever makes sense in
So
terms
there's
of,
about 110 feet stretched right there that the driveway is very close.
yep,
Yeah,
Okay.
no, we're fine with that, yeah.
so I'll say a boulder wall, and then we'll put the other things in parentheses, and I'll fix that tomorrow. Shall be erected per the, at the approved erosion control boundary running for approximately, and that's 170 feet along the wetland line close to Lake Road. This demarcation shall be maintained in perpetuity. A sign shall be installed on a metal or concrete post at that demarcation area, indicating that the area is a protected wetland area, and a second sign, or the same sign if it makes sense, shall prohibit snow dumping. So you could just say wetland area, no snow dumping, if you want. I don't think anybody will quibble about that. There should be no widening of the driveway within the buffer to BBW without prior authorization from the Conservation Commission, and this shall be noted in the COC as existing in perpetuity. 8 native trees and 22 shrubs shall be planted in the area behind the demarcation fence. I think that's what Leah has provided, and this will be monitored for 2 full growing seasons, and those that fail to thrive shall be replaced. No occupancy permit shall be signed prior to establishment of those trees. And the area behind.
Something to consider, just if I might interrupt you on that note, when we do the field adjustment, if we're gonna leave those 3 24-inch trees, maybe we don't need to put 8 trees, maybe we need 5. I'm just throwing that out, something we'll think about, and when we're on site, we can, Leah and John.
I think the commission is usually fairly amenable to staff.
Yes. We usually let them, you talk with them and.
Yeah, and I'm.
We have the commission about field adjustments, so I think.
Okay, good, okay, good.
I'll just say the area behind the boulder wall instead of fence.
Yes.
Is that okay, Leah?
yeah, that's fine.
Shall be left naturally vegetated, and this shall be noted in the COC as existing in perpetuity. And then we were suggesting that, while we were talking about tree replacements, that some number of trees should be planted on Lot G outside the limit of work to the south of the proposed dwelling in the areas where the kennels and coops are to be removed. This will have the effect of limiting the expected spread of invasives when room is provided. But that was.
But I talked to Leah about that, and I sent you something on it. It was a hardy type of shrub. Leah, you want to cover that, please? That what we talked about. Some of those buildings are very small. They're like 7 by 8 or something. And she mentioned I don't remember the name of it, but
Yeah, it was the arrowwood, the Viburnum dentatum. If you let that just sort of grow standalone, it gets quite big. I have one in front of my house that I'm actually a little overwhelmed with. So if you allow them to grow in a space, they will get quite large.
in a fairly short.
My tendency to not put too many plants into one area because then they just compete too much. But if you give an individual plant such as an arrowwood to grow, they get large. They cover a lot of area. So I don't like to overpack these places. Yeah.
So are you open to putting a few in there?
I figured that the big shed that's there, probably take 2, the other ones will take 1. She says they spread to like, you don't plant them more than 8 or 10 feet on center. Well, these things aren't even 10 feet.
Suggest 5 of those shrubs altogether? 4? What would you say, John?
No, it's
Well, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I know there's several, but if you maybe put in 5 of the shrubs. Arrow.
Fine, that's fine, yep.
I can say that arrowwood specifically.
Yeah, sure.
We'll probably do, honestly, if we're gonna put 1 on each where the sheds came out, we'll probably end up 8 or 10. So put 5, we'll do what we.
They'll put down 5 and then you can do any more.
Yep, no, fine.
Sorry, what would they call the arrow?
Yeah, northern arrowwood.
We might put, John will put the Latin one in.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, and then the rest is just how you go about getting your certificate.
Yep, I'm quite familiar with that.
And then the perpetual conditions are as listed, and hopefully they were correct.
Okay, all right, so.
I have one comment on the conditions again. On number 2, we're talking about the actual $5,000 that was said originally. It's now going to be 1,000. I would like it to clearly state.
In the bylaw?
In the conditions here.
Oh.
Number 2, where it says the amount of the cash performance is
In
going to
the
be.
bylaw.
Yep.
Sorry, yep, yes.
I would like it to clearly state, due to the generous nature of the property donate amount of, the area of property being donated,
Setting a precedent of
the,
negotiating.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That the performance guarantee. We say why it's so low. So somebody else doesn't come in and say, hey, he got 1,000, why is mine 2,000 or 3,000? And we're gonna put right in there.
Particular words he wanted due to the what?
Due to
It sounded
the
good.
generous donation or a significant amount of area that is being donated to the town in exchange for this project.
Acre and a half.
Yeah, yeah. And the drawing should be updated to show the new agreed upon line.
Oh, no, the new plan, when it's gonna get recorded.
Yeah.
Used as an exhibit for when the order is recorded.
Yeah.
It will, that line will just move right to the 200-foot line.
Wonderful.
Do you want to put the amount of land? What is it, 50?
I'll have Chris will do it. He'll calculate it exactly. It's gonna be about 50,000.
Approximately, yeah. 1.25 acres, yeah.
Yeah.
The line to be moved to the 200-foot riverfront line.
Right, exactly.
In fact, I'll draw a straight line. It'll be a little in and it'll be right there.
Right, that's fine.
I think I just said 2 parcels. Did we? Oh, we did describe that. Yeah, we did say that. Within the,
There were 2.
yes, one and one representing the whole riverfront area. Okay, just to make that clear. Okay.
Okay, all right. Ed, anything further on this?
None.
All right, Indra, anything more? On the order?
Nope.
No. Bill, anything more on the permit?
No.
I have nothing further either. So, given that's the case, could I have a motion to close the hearing on DEP file number 122-675 for 77 Drake Road?
So moved. Indra.
Second. Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes by a vote of 400. The hearing is closed for 77 Drake Road.
Yes, and other people.
Set?
Yes, if there's anybody else in the audience.
Yeah, yeah. And could I have a motion to issue a waiver of the 20-foot no disturb zone because of the following mitigation? The driveway is located in an area that minimizes impact because the applicant is proposing a 2-to-1 replication. And the trees that are being cut, he is proposing a 1-to-1 replanting for 1 ratio. And because of the generous nature of the donation of land that he is giving to the town, I propose a waiver of the 20-foot no disturb zone for the project at 77 Drake Road. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay, second?
It's got a second, okay.
All right, Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The waiver is approved by a vote of 400 unanimous.
Thank you all.
77 Drake Road. Could I have a motion to approve the findings under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 for DEP file number 122-675 for 77 Drake Road?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The findings are approved under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 for 77 Drake Road, 400. Could I have a motion to approve the order of conditions, which is the permit under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 and the State Wetlands Protection Act for DEP file number 122-675 for 77 Drake Road? Motion. Second?
Second.
Second.
Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The permit is approved for at 400 for 77 Drake Road. Could I have a motion to require the posting of $1,000 cash bond, cash surety for the project at 77 Drake Road, DEP file number 122-675 under Burlington Bylaw Article 14, $1,000.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Ed, how do you vote?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The request to post $1,000 under Burlington Bylaw Article 14, the 77 Drake Road is approved at $1,000.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think everything is done other than just have to sign the signatures and you'll.
Yep, no, I understand. And, no rush whenever you get to it. Not a huge
So
amount.
on behalf of the commission, Mr. Litchfield, thank you very much.
Welcome. And
As you know, when this, at the variance, it wasn't very complimentary of grant.
no, I understand. If I was in your shoes, I probably would have
Yeah, and
also.
you did
Same.
have a very eloquent lawyer on your side.
Oh. Okay.
But I think getting a donation, as it turned out, is very valuable to the commission. It's adjacent to existing conservation area and is very meaningful. So thank you very much.
You're welcome, and thank you to all of your staff and the commissioners, because it went pretty smooth, I think, with just a lot of behind the scenes stuff that was able to sort out what was gonna be needed here to.
Your engineering team did a really nice job.
Good, thank you, he'll be happy to know. He'd have been here tonight, but he's got his daughter is a baseball nut, and she's out in Cooperstown with him. At the-
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So he says, you don't really need me. I said, I hope not, no. And Leah, thank you.
Leah, thank you
welcome.
for your effort. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Did turn out all right?
Good, you got out of business, I know.
Yeah,
All right, again, thank you all.
all right. How long will the construction take?
Although for the house and everything, it'll probably be 7 or 8 months. But I'll get in there and get the hay bales and everything and the sock all in and have your staff out there, look at it with Leah, and we'll determine what we're gonna do in that replication area. I will do that replication area probably first. I'll probably rough in section of the driveway, enough to get me up past that.
So by late spring, you'll be sipping your beer.
Yeah, maybe May or June, yeah.
That sounds good.
Good. All right, again, thank you all.
Thank you, sir. All right, next we're on item number 9, which is the continued public hearing, 13 Pathwoods Ave. Okay, so we have some folks here for that. Hello there, how are you?
Hello, how you doing?
Good, good. So you get to introduce yourselves and either where you live or who you're affiliated with, and then you get to talk if you want.
Pat McLaughlin, 13 Pathwood Avenue, and we're looking to build an addition to our house, which will include an additional bathroom and expansion of a bedroom, as well as expansion of kitchen.
Right, okay, good, thank you. Ms. Trudeau, you want to say anything?
Just for the record, my name is Mary Trudeau, and I was working with the McLaughlins on their notice of intent filing for the work that is in front of us today. And I want to apologize for not coming to the last meeting because I just forgot. I literally just forgot to come. But I heard that Pat did a wonderful job and represented herself admirably. I also have the abutter notices receipts. Do you keep those? Okay, great, thanks.
Also, my husband's on the phone as well, on the WebEx, Michael.
All right, hello there, Michael.
At the last meeting, I believe that you went over the project with the McLaughlins, and it was pretty well understood what the project consisted of. We did not have a DEP file number, which would have allowed you to close the public hearing, and we do have a file number now, and I sent John a copy of the freely.
All right, so Eileen or John, is there anything further on this from your perspective? I don't remember a lot going on with that.
No, the only question I had outstanding was, Pat, when we read it, you said that you weren't sure if Andrew was going to ask you to move the fence because the fence is actually a consent. And it's in the conditions.
We're still in the process of talking to him about that. It's owned by Michael Murray. You may remember we did the permit for that house there. And I believe he did send a note to McLaughlin saying that it was his property. And I thought that once we have the order of conditions in hand, we would talk to him and see what he would like us.
Oh, because I had put something in the conditions about.
If we can touch on, if he makes it up about the fence, we will, but if he is willing to
think if he's not gonna ask you to move it, then why would you?
That's right. That's exactly right. So if he will let the fence stay in place with the agreement that we understand it is his property, that would work for us as well.
Okay, anything further, Eileen?
That's my only question.
All right, so, Ed, anything further? This one is 13 Pathwoods Avenue. It's an addition onto an existing house.
I have nothing to add.
All right, how about, Indra, anything further on 13 Pathwoods?
Well, they are our neighbors, very good neighbors. And I do not have any objections. I think this addition would look very nice to this area.
But even though they are very good neighbors, you're being completely impartial, is that correct?
Definitely.
Okay.
He has no financial interest in this.
No financial interest, no, not at all.
Okay. All right, Bill, anything further?
No, I have nothing further.
I have nothing further. Is there anyone in the audience for 13 Pathwoods Avenue? The record should show there is no one further in the audience for this. All right, so we got some draft documents. We'll review it.
Draft from the earlier. Do you want a copy to look at now or?
No, I'm okay. Okay. I looked at it earlier, so.
Oh, no, let's try. Can you just find me and I'll give it to Pat while I talk?
Right. Do you, do you have a draft?
I do. I was just,
Yeah.
yes, we do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll start with the bylaw. This notice of intent was filed for demolition of a portion of an existing single-family residence deck and construction of a 240 square foot addition, construction of a new deck within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. The next part describes the filing history of when you submitted it, and then the plan reference was stamped by Alan C. Nelson. The construction was within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. The closest point of the proposed new dwelling was approximately 31 feet from the BVW, while the closest impervious feature would be approximately 40 feet from the BVW. The existing impervious walkway at the same location had been just over 40 feet from the wetland. The existing fence and some lawn is within the 20-foot no disturb. It is unclear at this time if the neighbor will require the applicant to move the fence closer to the house and away from the wetland. I might leave that in there just for the moment so that, or we can take it out. It's not really relevant. I just didn't know whether you knew that at this point, whether you had to move the fence.
No, you could leave it in there. It's not.
Okay.
We'll just.
And then going down to stormwater management, we are asking that the applicant will drain the new rooftop area to grass. So don't let it just go onto the impervious surface because it'll get out onto the road. The commission, in this case, we're suggesting that you waive the no-build setback to the BVW, as the applicant found it difficult to comply with setback requirements without extensive engineering and additional disturbance, and the granting of a waiver for this project does not set a precedent, as each application before the commission shall be judged on its own merit. The moving forward of the existing fence at the rear, if that happens, will allow a previously disturbed area to naturally revegetate and will prevent future encroachment. Restoration will be enhanced by the planting of 12 native shrubs. I hope I got that from your plan. I didn't just make that up.
No, we had proposed a dozen.
Okay, good. And then we are proposing a bond in the form of 2,500 in this, unless you negotiate like Gary Litchfield did, and you know.
I know. I was really impressed with his skills.
Okay, we'll go up to the order. So as Mary knows well, the first several conditions are always standard. In this case, we are saying no work within a wetland resource area has been permitted by this decision at this time. I think it's correct. Pre-construction conditions, as I explained in the last one, these all refer to the fact that you'll be putting up some erosion controls and your DEP sign, and you'll come back to us for an inspection. At that stage, you will also have recorded the order of conditions and you'll have your DEP sign in place. Sediment barrier shall be 9-inch straw wattles and sediment filter fabric fence. Materials shall not be stockpiled on the site within 20 feet of the wetlands or at a location that would allow materials to run into the streets. And then, as with the previous one, just if anything gets onto the street, just keep it clean. We may require additional erosion control if we deem it necessary. No additional grading beyond what's shown on the approved plan should be permitted. The pollution control conditions are all standard about not allowing anything to be spilled in or near wetlands and how to report it if it happens. Stormwater management, the rooftop from the addition rooftop will be discharged to the lawn, and then the request for a COC, this details how you go about doing that. Okay. Do you have any questions about any of those?
No.
But,
Yeah.
all right, if you, at a later time, when you read it over in more detail, if you decide to do that and you have a question, you call the office and they'll resolve any issues, obviously. All right. All right, so is there anything further on the proposed findings and proposed permit from the commission? Okay, sounds like there's nothing further. All right, then could I have a motion to close the hearing on DEP file number 122-678 for 13 Pathwoods Ave?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The hearing is closed for 13 Pathwoods Ave, DEP number 122-678. Could I have a motion to adopt the findings under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 for DEP number 122-678, 13 Pathwoods Ave?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The findings are approved under Burlington Bylaw Article 14. Next, could I have a motion to approve the permit known as the Order of Conditions for DEP file number 122-678 for 13 Pathwoods Ave under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 and the State Wetlands Protection Act?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The permit is approved for 13 Pathwoods Ave under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 and the State Wetlands Protection Act. And could I have a motion to adopt, to require a $2,500 performance surety for the project requested under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 for DEP number 122-678 for 13 Pathwoods Ave. That is for $2,500, which is an unusual nominal amount for a house project.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So the request to post $2,500 surety is approved for 13 Pathwoods Ave. Good luck with your project.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
If you have any issues with any of the stuff, give us a call.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, take care.
Good night.
All right, so next we have the public hearing. It says we have for 1 Burlington Mall Road, the Lincoln Property Group is to construct a commercial building, DEP phone number 122-676. All right, looks like we have some representatives for that one.
Yes, we do.
Waiting patiently.
I'll make sure, Jeff.
Oh, and I will start before we get started. I do not have COVID. I got a little cough because I had bronchitis last week. So it's still a little lingering. So just,
all right, thank you.
I feel the need to tell everybody that, just
That's
given,
nice of you too.
given the climate people are in.
That.
Yeah. Is there a way that I can, on the Wi-Fi?
Are you in the meeting now?
I'm not in the meeting.
That might be the easiest thing if you join the meeting. Do you have it?
Or I can, Brad Johnson is on.
I have the document, the site plans here, unless something's different, I could share them if that's easier, or Brad can.
Yeah, Brad, if.
Or do you have a presentation? Sorry.
I do have a presentation. He did it and sent it to me, so he has it.
And he can put it up. Brad, can you put up that document?
Yes, I can do that. Brad Johnson with Bowl Engineering, for the record.
Sure.
Hi.
Just as a introduction, I'm Jim Noonan from Lincoln Property Company.
Yeah, and I jumped right in with the COVID qualification, but Steve Materano with Bowler. And then the property, 1 Burlington Mall Road, the property owner is RB Hotel Burlington as well, who is the property owner and Jim has introduced himself as Lincoln Property, is the proponent for the application here. So we'll just walk you through a little bit. Folks may know the site is the Marriott site, right? So obviously the Marriott's on the property. The property has been subdivided, so there's now 2 parcels, so the hotel remains. And there's a parking lot that's very underutilized. It's actually being utilized by Leahy right now, just as overflow for staff parking, because there's no need for the hotel use. So that's how Lincoln got involved here, is to work with the hotel and try to come up with a better use than just a surface parking lot that's not utilized. So what you have on here is the site. So just the red dashed line is the site that's been subdivided off as an individual lot. Kind of has a tail frontage along Burlington Mall. That's just a byproduct of the subdivision requirements to get frontage. For the new lot, really the site is sort of that grade in where you see the word site, about 2.5 acres. 0.75 acres is the site of what's being redeveloped. We've kept the, and just for context, so Burlington Mall Road's on the top of the page, the southeast corner, you see I-95 running along there, and then more north-south is 62. The very beginning of the Burlington Mall Road here. Brad, if you want to click forward one slide, we get zoomed in a little. Proposed development, again, we've kept it in the limits of the proposed parking lot that's there. We've actually pulled back about 8,600 square feet of pavement that goes away as part of it. Greens up, we've got a rain garden, and we'll get into those details, but we've introduced some new green with this concept. We're really focused on keeping development in today. And there's a big, if you're out there, there's a large mound of ledge right in the middle that will need to come down as part of this development. It's really where the building is. Click forward, Brad, and you can see in the bottom of that page is the hotel that remains pretty much operating the way it does today, and they keep their parking field out front. And there's some more on the planning board. There's been conversations of sharing parking and not over parking this development. So getting the right parking, because they're actually very complementary parking uses. You have the laboratory, EMP. So the building is blue is really the lab, more like an office type building, but a laboratory focused building. And then the yellow box is what we call a CGMP, which is really the manufacturing part of the laboratory business. So you have a 4-story, and I've got a few architectural images to give you a feel for what that building looks like. We really have a 4-story blue box and 1-story, but very tall for the manufacturing. It's a tall 1-story. It's shorter than the blue box, and they're both shorter than the existing hotel. And then through really just parking rings around the building. It's partially fire department access and truck access for this property, and then just surface parking around the edges. You can fast forward.
So why are we here? Clarification, this is all on existing pavement?
Correct.
Okay. So no green space is being taken as part of the construction?
Correct.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's great. Great question. This is why we're here. Really, these 2 areas that are shown here are bordering vegetative wetlands. They're really byproducts, kind of man-made wetlands here. The one at the bottom of the page, you'll see on a slide from the original hotel development, that was their detention pond. Fictional, based on when it was built and how it's been maintained or let go to a natural state, we'll say. And then on the right of the page, sort of up by, as you get close to the intersection of Mall Road and Cambridge Street, that is really the byproduct of building the I-95 on-ramp, really the swale in the area at the base of our hill, and then the on-ramp. So it's really just a swale, again, jurisdictional, based on how it was built. And so we're respecting the buffer zones off of it or trying to improve within. So the outer blue line is the 100-foot buffer. The red line is the 50-foot no build, no structure, and the green line is the 20-foot no touch zone. And you'll see we do have some work in those zones, but it's all within existing parking lot areas. So click forward, we show the proposed development, how that layers in here. Again, the limits of the parking lot are all within today's parking lot limits. But we do, you can see down in the bottom left corner, we do have a little corner of the buildings in that 50-foot no build, but again, it's parking lot today. And then obviously with some work in the 20-foot no touch zone, but some of that is to remove pavement and then revegetate it. And
You'll request a waiver?
The way I read the regulations, if it's currently developed and degraded,
yeah,
it can be allowed by this commission without a waiver.
Okay.
And
All right, well, it may be the case.
We'll confirm that.
What?
We'll confirm that.
Yeah.
Right, so this, again, this is the technical slide of the color graphic that we showed you. This is a layout plan, building, parking. So from a technical point of view, it's a little hard to see what's on the screen, but.
And can he zoom up on it a little bit more?
Yep.
Sure. What do you want to zoom in on?
Just a little bit more, it's easier to see like that.
Yeah, great.
Because you're referring to the red line and the green line and.
Yeah, sure.
I see no colors unless I'm colorblind.
My wife says I'm colorblind too, so.
Yeah.
Step in front of the camera. So you can see there's a faint gray line just outside here.
Yep.
This is all parking today.
Yep.
Right, so like I said, there's some work in here, but this is all paved parking lot today. We actually get rid of some corners where we could. And then down here, this is probably the biggest. This is all paved today.
Yeah.
Parking lot comes all the way down to these points here. This shape, that's a rain garden. So we're taking out a large section of parking at the lowest point of the parking lot.
Yeah.
Vegetating it, rain gardens, trying to take advantage of that grade opportunity and get some of the parking lot gets collected, treated through proprietary treatment devices to get the high water quality, and then run it through the rain garden to get some infiltration, get more water quality out of that, but mostly you get green right up on wetlands, which we're trying to do, look for those opportunities to pull back. And again, along the edge, we get a little bit of green along the edge, a couple feet where we could, and we try to off corners of the parking lot and really bring some of that green back in. But I really want to keep this road for the fire department, wanted 360-degree access around the building. So we try to do that thoughtfully and not park on both sides everywhere, just enough to meet the zoning requirements and get the parking for the building. And then up here, same thing, you can see this parking up in, Brad, I'm up in the, I can't see what I'm pointing at, top right corner of the parking lot, closest to the mall road, right, the big corner of the parking lot here comes off, get some landscaping in there. And the biggest thing we tried to do from more just like a thoughtful development approach was there's a lot of buffer around the edge of the project, and you'll see on some of the architectural images, we really wanted to keep that. So we try to keep grades similar in the parking lots. We're not doing a lot of earthwork and really give an opportunity to keep all those mature trees around the edges. Anything else specific we want to zoom in on, or we can?
No, I mean, I think we'll have some general questions and some initial comments, and then we'll, I guess between now and the next meeting, we'll have a site visit and so forth.
Not sure they're finished.
What's that?
Finished?
No, we do have a couple more slides.
I wasn't assuming, he was just asking.
Okay.
Another couple of hundred slides.
Yeah, we can go quickly through these. I think the most important thing here, in addition to the rain garden, we do have a large infiltration system to take the roof runoff. So we're taking the clean water off the roof, putting it in an infiltration system. We tried to meet all the stormwater standards to the, we're a redevelopment, qualifies for redevelopment. We did try to get a very high level treatment. So the parking lot does get the full 1 inch, and we're shooting for a 1 inch rather than a ½ inch water quality volume. We do get that for the parking lot. We're a little short based on what we can infiltrate for the roof runoff, and mostly because we're sitting in sea soils, which are okay.
It's a little slow.
Yeah, they're a little slow, but the bigger challenge on this site is the ledge. So there's, like I said, it's probably a 20-foot tall, 15-foot tall ledge outcropping right in the middle of the site. And what we found is we have the records of when the site was developed. So we know this corner where we put these infiltration systems was filled in. So it's filled, it's not natural material, but we know there's not ledge there, right? Because it was filled in. So it gives us an opportunity to do some infiltration. We didn't think it was right to claim redevelopment and not do anything. But we are about a ½ inch on the roof infiltration from a water quality standpoint. So we're shooting for the 1, but we were only able to get to a half on that. But still, better than 0. Trying to work with the site conditions and not claim that it can't be any infiltration. We found this as a zone that we could do it in. So that's probably the biggest thing. And again, we're collecting certifications or quality devices before it gets to any infiltration. Next slide, Brad. This. Give me a little. This is what I was saying is looking at the grades, you can see several contours in this. This was the development of the hotel. You can see this was near the Benton area. Again, we acknowledge that it's jurisdictional now, but it was a constructed basin. But this shows that there's fill in this corner, which we're trying to capitalize on. And this shows rain garden and infiltration system. A little of our analysis to show we have 2 feet of separation from original grade. So we feel confident we're more than 2 feet from ledge or ground.
So the rain garden's on the 128 side of the property?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Is there any other rain garden there at all?
That is it. The whole site slopes.
Right.
North to the sure. At both points of the parking lot. I think we can the next slide.
You will be doing test pits to confirm your assumptions of separation and stuff?
Correct. We have it in there.
Wait, so it looked like you had 3 test pits shown on the previous slide where
They're proposed.
They're proposed, okay.
Right, we wanted to make sure they were captured on the plans, so.
Gotcha.
We forget to do them in the future.
Okay.
Okay.
This is just showing the utilities, all the utilities for the property. There's either on Cambridge Street at this intersection or Mall Road. So again, we're bringing them up the parking lot. There's likely some electric and telecom that cut through the woods there to be determined by those utility providers, but we've shown our best guess on where those are going to go. Just get that scope of work captured in the plan set. Next slide, Brad. Landscape plan, obviously you're not going to see the details at a distance, but we do have a landscape plan that shows, again, the areas, the rainfall application, the new trees coming into the landscape islands. Unless there's questions on the planting plan, we can go to the next slide. And again, these are some more for curiosity's sake. Just to give you show you a little bit of some of what I was saying is there is pretty good healthy trees along the Mall Road, and then again lining the 128. This is the 128 on ramp there. So we're keeping that, and we've kind of put the building right in the middle of the site. And again, trying to keep grades and keep that limit of parking inside what's there really be able to keep as much of that buffer.
Is that structured parking that I'm saying there? Is it just the way the building's designed?
And it's just the way the building is designed.
Okay.
Yeah, Lois looks like a parking.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, the nice thing of a lab use is it's very low parking demand.
Right.
Lots of equipment and other things that are going on in this space, so, we do meet the full zoning requirement for parking. It's just parking requirements we're able to do it with that limited surface parking around the building. Again,
Where on this picture is the actual existing wetland showing?
so you have a little wetland here.
Down in there, okay.
Actually, it's more up in this area here. And then the other one is this area between the hotel.
Sure.
Back and the rain garden will be down in this corner here. An angle, different view, again. Take a look at the building, proposed building, existing hotel. Keep all that vegetation, lots of good mature trees, existing property. And the last one gives you a flavor for what may be a little more realistic of the building that we're proposing there, so.
We want a good building. It's the first thing you see when you come off the 128 off ramp, so we want to make sure it looks good and presents well.
Looks like it has a lot of glass on the east side, yeah.
Yeah, we're still developing that, but yeah, that's the intent right now.
Yes, I've heard that called the gateway to Burlington, coming in right that way. So you want it to look nice, I agree.
Right.
Yeah. So
I live in Burlington too, so I want it to be.
There you go.
There you go.
I grew up in Burlington. I still live upstairs though.
All right.
Not elsewhere, but come back often. So that's our presentation. Again, the architectural slides with more, just to give you some context of the building and show a little bit of that perimeter that we're trying to be sensitive to, but happy to answer questions.
So what we'll do is, to get the process started, we'll go to the staff and see if they have any initial comments. And then we will take comments from the commissioners, and not expecting answers to everything because it takes some time. We'll make a list essentially, and we'll just go over that at the end. And we'll see if there's anyone in the audience, which I suspect there may not be. And then we'll go from there. So John or Eileen, do you have any comments for us?
Sure, so I'll take this one. With regard to the wetland resource areas, I have not gone out and checked the delineations yet. Do that next week. And so then with regard to stormwater runoff, the reduction of pavement, clearly reducing pavement's a good thing. So that's a positive. It looks like their stormwater management plan meets the stormwater standards. They're meeting with standards for TSS removal via the catch basins, the hydrodynamic separators, the contact units. And
how about the phosphorus standard? Is that
well, so then it's going into a rain garden. So we haven't asked them to calculate phosphorus removal, but a rain garden is the way to do it. I mean, that's really that's really sort of the only way you can do it, other than the underground infiltration, which they're doing on the rooftop. Infiltration is the way to achieve it, or put it through a rain garden. But we haven't actually asked for those calculations.
Okay.
It's a pretty small site, so they don't actually hit the threshold for having to do the phosphorus calculations.
Because that occurs at how many acres?
1 acre.
Is this 1 acre? It's not 1 acre.
The site is.
Well, the site, but the work on the site,
It's over 1 acre. Yeah, it's about two.
oh, why don't we ask them to do
The site is 2.75 acres.
Okay,
Yeah,
so then
I
we should be asking for that then.
we should be
Yes.
asking for that.
Which is fine. I believe we will meet it with the infiltration that's already on the plan, but we can provide those calculations.
Okay.
And then obviously they're reducing their peak rates slightly for each of the 210 and 100-year storms.
Okay. All right. All right, so let's see.
So I have one other question. Have you gone to the Board of Health at all? Yeah.
We've had some discussions with the Board of Health, yes.
Okay, because one of the things that stood out is the drawdown time in the rain garden. You say the drawdown time is like 72 hours, basically. I suspect that might be a problem with the Board of Health, but
They'll have an issue with that timing.
Yeah, I want to talk about that for a minute. Okay, so let's go in turn. Let's see. Anything further?
no, that's it.
All right. Okay, this is the first time it's being presented. So are there any initial comments or any questions you have? Indra?
I have just quick questions. So what I understand that there is nothing would be built within 20 feet no build zone. Am I correct?
Yeah, so there is a little bit of parking lot work that is within existing parking lot areas. That does fall within the 20-foot zone. I think,
So-
Brad, if you could just click on that and zoom in, just so everybody's clear. I think go back one more. Yeah, so that inside that green line,
Mhm.
that is within 20 feet.
Right. Okay.
Just that small portion right there.
I see.
All right.
It's paved today and it basically remains paved in the future, right?
So you are not adding any additional pavement?
In the 20-foot, no, we are reducing the amount of pavement.
No, I
within the
said overall.
Overall, we reduce 8,600 square feet of pavement.
Oh, okay, reducing. Okay.
Yes,
You haven't done the test pits yet, right?
correct. We have not done the test beds.
So we need that. And also we need to see that wetland delineation. Until it is done, we cannot make any more comments. We have to confirm, and as I understand, John will do that, right, John?
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, that's all.
You can always
That's
come
all I have.
back for more
Yeah.
anyway. Ed, anything yet on this one?
Nothing for me yet.
Okay.
One thing I did notice that, and I go back a few years, I don't know how much this property specifically relates to across the other side of that property on Mall Road, but the buildings over there have sunk about 2 to 3 feet over time, and I'm going back a few years. I don't know if that relates to this side of Mall Road or not. Is somebody even aware of that? The reason I bring it up is that's when I had a Corvette and they had to get me towed off the top of the garage because I had sunk into the garage roof. So I'll never forget that, how much that actually dropped. Just kind of curious more than anything.
All right. What year Corvette was that, Ed?
2001.
All right, thank you. We'll note that for the record. Okay. Bill?
I think it's a good plan. I like the fact that it's all within the existing paved area. I like the rain garden, regardless of what the Board of Health says. And the infiltration system, the reduction in impervious area is significant, 8,600 square feet. I like the stormwater plan. I thought it was clear, well-written, and very readable. So that was one of the better ones I've seen. I have a question sort of outside our jurisdiction, but I always want to ask it. How are you handling the heating and cooling of the building? How green is the building? You going to do electric heating and cooling? Any opportunity for solar on the roof or anything like that?
We're working with our engineers right now, so I don't have an answer for that.
Okay.
We're in the process of developing all of that.
I just think committing to a natural gas type of heating or cooling system now is going to be problematic in the future for not only the owners and the managers of the building, but the environment. So you can get an electric system.
Yeah, we've been looking into all that.
Okay.
Are you looking into a green roof as well?
Funny you should ask, we are. Not so much green roof, but some planting on the roof, particularly in front of the penthouse screen. You know, something there so it's got some green to it. And we're developing that too, based on comments we heard from the planning board.
Right, great.
Trying to make sure that we want it to look good. So, you know, that's the material for the penthouse screen is going to be. So we're finding something that's not translucent, but at least you can see through it. Doesn't look like this big solid wall. we're also looking into getting some planting in front of that.
And again, not our jurisdiction, but where this is a major entrance into the community, are you planning to have a signage on it, you know, or something tasteful, or not in a large obnoxious XYZ company on the side of it, or?
Right now, we don't have any plans for signage, but, you know, it'll be tenant-driven, but anything that we do will be tastefully done.
Of course.
For that reason, it's the first thing you see. We don't want this.
Yes.
All right.
Sitco sign there, you go.
I have a couple of general questions. One is, how does the handling of the stormwater off of the parking lot, the existing condition, compared to what you're proposing now? Is it an improvement? Could we have, is there a write-up anywhere in the materials that actually says, here's what you have, and here's the improvement on how we're handling stormwater?
Yes, the short answer is yes. That's the stormwater report does detail that. Existing conditions does have some decent catch basins. They're relatively deep sump. I don't know if they're full foot, 4 foot, but they have sumps, and most of them have hoods, which is not always the existing condition. So that part's good, but then there's no other treatment or detention beyond that.
So it's just catch basins right now?
Just catch basins today.
Maybe a couple of feet of sump.
And maybe a couple of feet of sump, correct.
All right, and are you replacing those
Yes.
with 4 foot deep?
Correct.
Sumps?
There'll be new 4 foot deep sump hooded catch basins. They'll all the parking lot runoff runs through. There's 2 systems that come down. They each have water quality treatment. That's an add, and those get 80% treatment by themselves. But you're weighted and.
Even in your report, you say 50%.
Yeah, okay. The manufacturer reps will tell you 90%.
Of what? What are we talking about here?
TSS, like water quality.
It's a Contech. It's like a storm scepter, only it's a different brand.
Contech.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I've seen that, okay.
Yeah, so.
Okay, so you essentially have a water quality unit after the sump.
Correct.
Sumps in the catch basin.
Right, so we get 25% treatment in the catch basins. Gonna add in 50.
And those kind of units, they bypass, during high flows, they bypass so it doesn't flush out?
Correct.
So are you off the roof? Are you separating therefore water off the roof from the water in the parking?
The roof's going into an infiltrator. It's
So
totally.
the roof is totally separate, going into an infiltrator?
And only.
Okay. And
2 separate systems.
So which water is going into the rain garden?
The parking lot.
The parking lot only?
After the 2 levels of treatment.
Parking lot only?
Correct.
Okay, good. This is good. This is getting better and better.
Right.
Okay. So the parking lot is going in through the catch basins, through the sump, and then is going to the rain garden? Is that what's going on?
Catch basin, sump, water quality treatment unit, then rain garden.
Then rain garden.
Correct.
All right. So are you aware that in residential areas, the Board of Health has had a longstanding concern about rain gardens? Aware of this?
I am always concerned about rain gardens and making sure they are functioning well and.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I was looking at it, and there is some recent literature, I can't remember where I saw it, that referred to sort of newer designs that allow you to use combination of stone and plantings so that essentially you have minimal surface area that has anything deep in it, even when the water fills up. Have you seen any of that? And if you have seen any of that, could we, if it can be done, I don't know if it can, I don't know if it's feasible, okay, but if it could be done, could we use this rain garden design as a prototype for a safe rain garden that doesn't just have a pool that fills up and it has a few plants in between, but could we design it in such a way that it doesn't have to have, it has water, but it's filled up between the stones and things like that with plants? I don't know if you've ever seen any of that. Is it possible you could look into that for us and see if we could sort of get like a prototype demonstration if something's feasible to be done? Because the reason I say that is so much of the regulations are moving towards low impact development. And I just heard a presentation for the town that talked about heat islands in different settings. And one of the most common things is obviously removing pavement and putting in rain gardens. Well, the problem is putting rain gardens in all over, the Board of Health is going to get apoplectic about it, okay, because they've had this longstanding concern.
I think safety hazards.
And safety hazards. So if you could look into that and say, well, we could design this like this, and we think it could be sort of like a prototype demonstration of how it could be done, that would be a major contribution to the town as a whole.
Yeah, so I think the answer is yes. I want to understand a little more of the Board of Health's concerns specifically.
The concern about standing water and the safety of people getting in there, and it's more pursuant to residential areas, okay? But it would be nice if in certain residential areas, if someone wants to propose a rain garden, we say, here is the kind of design you have to use, otherwise it's not accepted. It would be a safe design. So the question is, we would really, rather than just say, well, over 50 miles away, they've designed one, let's go look at it and stuff like that. It'd be nice if we had a prototype demo in town. And I realize, I think I'm not 100% sure, there is some reticence by the Board of Health to have them anywhere, but particularly in residential areas is where their concern is. Is that what you understand?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I don't disagree. It'd be nice to have a local rain garden, well-designed, to show the Board of Health that it can be done and done safely. Like I said, I haven't checked the wetland delineation yet. It could turn out that the existing basin that drains this into this site and the hotel could be full of water currently. And if that's the case, I'm not really sure why the Board of Health would have any additional issues about this if it's right adjacent to a basin that's already full of water. But I don't know if that's the case.
It's not necessarily the issue that they have with this. The issue is, it'd be nice to have a prototype if there is a way of designing it.
Absolutely, no doubt.
I will say on the prototype aspect, we'll be able to do some things here as a redevelopment that you may not be able to do as a new development. So as far as a prototype goes, what we could do here is probably a prototype for redevelopment situations.
I'm not sure I understand the logic behind what you just said, though.
We have some flexibility as a redevelopment that a new development would.
With what? The amount of water going in?
Right now, we're.
Standards, he's basically saying, right?
Yeah, the state stormwater standards.
Right.
If we put under drains in the treatment layer, that's a way to reduce the drawdown time, but it also reduces some of the treatment that you might get.
Right.
Which would be allowable as a redevelopment. It may not make you fully compliant.
Obviously, if we could do it without those under drains, so we get the full benefit of infiltration, that would be better.
Especially once you start calculating the phosphorus.
Right. So right now, we've designed it. It's only 16 inches of water as currently designed. And part of that's because you don't want more than that in a rain garden.
That's correct. And you want it to drain within a certain period of time, but even that 16 inches, they have an issue with that.
Right. And I get that. So we could reduce that. Again, we've designed it for the 1 inch volume. As a redevelopment, we could agree to do a ½ inch, which is still a high level of treatment.
1 inch will definitely take care of your phosphorus, though.
1 inch will definitely.
I'm reluctant to.
Well, why don't we can do the phosphorus?
Our designs I've seen with using stones and the pore volume between the stones to allow the water to fill up. And you end up with just a few inches of water above that. And essentially it becomes a non-safety issue.
They're looking for the volume of water without the depth of water on the surface.
Yeah.
Right. But you need the plants to remove the phosphorus,
Yeah.
though.
I know that. So what they have is they have something with plants in between, and the in between is, instead of having dirt coming up between the plants, there's a little bit more stones. Could you look into that for us?
Plenty of
Right.
designs.
Yeah, why don't we take a pass at it? We'll have a conversation with the Board of Health.
Right.
We can talk about what is an acceptable drawdown time.
And maybe you can take a look at sort of the state-of-the-art designs that make it more child-safe. I know that's not the case for commercial areas, but it would be nice if it could be designed in such a way that that could be accomplished.
Yeah, and I think we can do that.
Okay, not just shortchanging the treatment. Okay?
Well, there's a finite amount of space we have to work with. So there's going to be trade-offs between the volume of water that can be stored and infiltrated. The more stones we put in, the less volume there is.
I get it.
Let us take a
look at it.
Pass at it.
It may not be feasible, and I get that.
Look into it.
Okay. Okay, now, the other thing is this ledge, and I'm not sure I understand where all the ledge exactly is. You said in the middle. So this may not pertain, but sometimes when there's ledge near infiltration areas, what happens is the water will break out, will run along, instead of infiltrating, will begin to run along the top of the ledge and underneath the ground and break out on the slope. Do you have any areas where that's a concern, or you need to review that?
We are not concerned with that.
Okay.
Basically because the wetland area was the original grade. And so we know there's no ledge down to the wetland elevation, and that is the low point, right? Everything around the wetland areas is higher.
So there's no ledge up to the point of the slopes.
If you look on this slide, right, that Brad has on the screen here,
Right in the middle of
you can see it's a very defined, peak. I mean, this is in the middle of the parking lot. So the concern about settling buildings is probably not an issue here, because we're gonna be sitting on top of a big rock ledge.
Right.
That's probably the most stable building in Burlington when it's built, but you can see down here, this is original grade.
Right.
And then this has been filled up. So we're really just working in this fill area that if there's ledge, it's down deeper than the wetlands.
Got it. Okay.
Levels. So
Right.
what would happen would, if anything, it will come out into the wetland area.
All right, so that's not an issue. That situation is not an issue.
No.
The other thing is, we haven't looked at the site. It looks pretty well treed with mature trees around the edge. Are there any areas that would benefit from some tree plantings? Because, I listened to the presentation we had on a heat island study, and the whole place is turning into concrete and asphalt, and it has very detrimental effects for a lot of reasons. Is there any areas that are bare that didn't seem, the picture showed it all pretty well filled out, but.
Again, the perimeter stays, all the mature trees around.
Are there large patches of bare area that could benefit from planting at all?
It's pretty dense.
It's pretty dense.
There's a couple little gaps out to Burlington Mall Road, and even here, it looks pretty well covered.
Yeah.
There's one spot that, based on a conversation with the planning board, we're gonna put a walkway connecting the new building up to the sidewalk on the Mall Road. Because the elevations worked out well.
I could tell from the picture that was the case, but I thought I'd just throw that out there.
Yep, and then
There's an opportunity to plant more trees if there's space that.
We'll take a look when we're out there, but it looks like it's pretty well treed out there.
Yeah, and then we do have new trees coming in the new parking islands, right, that are being built.
Right. Are you doing any treatment is all of it being conveyed to catch basins, or are you planning any low impact development, say in the middle of the parking lot at all, for catching rainwater or something?
It all goes into the catch basin so we can get it through the treatment units.
Okay, got it.
We're not doing any surface flow into the basin.
Especially not right on top of the ledge.
No.
Okay. I guess that's all I have right now. So, I didn't hear a lot. Is there anyone in the audience, online for this? This is, the project at, 1 Burlington Mall Road. I don't think there is. No. Okay, the record should show no one's here for further comment. So what I heard is you need to do test pits. That's ongoing. You're gonna do that. Our staff, the commission will do a site visit, try to arrange a site visit, and well, the staff will also check wetlands. Let me know if any of this is wrong. Some calculations on, any other calculations needed, calculations on phosphorus. It qualifies for the threshold where we need to have that. Do we need,
That was, phosphorus is the main thing.
okay? And how about the solids?
TSS, that they showed all that.
Okay, that's all, that's okay. And we'll need a waiver request probably, because there's a little bit of work in the 20-foot no disturb. And
If I could ask for clarification of whether that waiver is actually required.
I guess the question is, does the parking lot cover no closer than? The building's gonna be here, but the parking lot went closer. Is that parking lot still a permitted structure that is the old definition?
I mean, the way you've interpreted the regulation is that it's something that requires a building permit. So a parking lot in the 50-foot no build is not something that required a building permit. So
is there any
portion of the building is within 50 feet, then I think the way you've interpreted the regulations.
You don't have that in this case, do you?
We do have a corner of the building in it.
So that would need a waiver request. About the 20 foot, is there any disturbances within the 20 foot? So
the removing
pavement part.
There's some removal of.
So we should make a combined request for the waiver. We'll just do it all at once, maybe. I mean, we just have to have a letter on file, right?
Yep.
It's not a big deal.
Okay. And the rain garden, you're gonna look into the rain garden for us and see if you can come up with some ideas for that.
And if I could, on the test pits, we were hoping to do those as a construction item and not go dig up the parking lot that Leahy's using now. I think, excuse me, based on the historical data, we know that's filled. We know it's not a ledge problem, and we can get those systems in there. We'll do the confirmatory testing during construction, but we were hoping to defer those for construction and not do those now.
Have we ended up with problems, John, when we've done that where we haven't, and the drainage?
Remember, we did one time.
Yeah.
They are being fairly conservative though with their C-type soil.
But they don't know the depth of the ledge for sure. That's the problem.
And the reason I think it's appropriate, but obviously we'll do whatever the commission thinks is appropriate, is because it's a redevelopment. We're trying to do the right thing. We're trying to get the infiltration in the rain gardens in there. And if there's not the separation of 2 feet, we would say we're a redevelopment and we'd request 1 foot or 6 inches is acceptable to get something in there, or they would not be constructed and we just claim redevelopment and not do them. So doing the test pits now or later.
Or the rain garden you're talking about?
Be fully compliant. We know that as a redevelopment. We're confident that they work because we have records showing that there's 4 feet of fill there. And we did very shallow systems because of that. So I think we have more data than most sites that might come in and try to defer the test pits because we have a record of what was there naturally. And we know there's 4 feet of material there. So,
this is for the rain garden, right?
It's the rain garden and the infiltration.
Infiltration chamber.
In the infiltration chamber, but you need to do a test pit near for the rain garden site too, right?
It's close to it.
Yeah, they're all right in the same area.
So.
One in the rain garden.
If for some reason it doesn't infiltrate, you don't think that's going to be the case because that would destroy your ability to meet phosphorus removal?
For the rate of infiltration?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you'd have a problem.
Well, we would, yes,
On a redevelopment, I think they need
the maximum extent.
60%? No, we actually have, our bylaw does have specific requirements based on EPA. 60% phosphorus removal, right?
Versus 80,
50 or 60, and I'll find it.
is that versus 80, Eileen, for new development?
Yeah, I can check it while you guys are talking.
I'm trying to ascertain how much risk there is, John, of letting this go without the test pits.
Right. Well, I mean, there's another question too. Is the Board of Health going to give you a positive recommendation to the planning board without test pits? I'm not sure the planning board's gonna let the test pits slide. When do you go to them? Do you have a date?
Don't think we do.
No, it's probably gonna be early 23,
When?
early 2023.
Before you go to the planning board?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I think it's that, no, we're back in the planning board on the 16th of July.
Okay.
Right, so the Board of Health the Board of Health is gonna wanna see you because they have to comment to the planning board.
Okay.
So you're gonna have to go see them and they'll probably have a subcommittee. I suspect they're gonna require the test pits before they give a recommendation. So I would check that out.
Okay, well,
How long does Leahy have?
I think we can find a way to do the test pits
Yeah.
if they're.
Do they use it on the weekends and they use it all the time?
I went through there tonight and there was 8 cars in there now. So it might have to be evening work or something, but I think there's a way to figure it out.
Okay.
It's pretty busy during the day. There's cars in and out and shuttle buses, but obviously very sleepy at night.
Right.
There's that employee shuttle bus from Leahy?
Correct.
Yeah, so the danger would be if there were no test pits and they couldn't build it as designed, they would need to come back to you for to amend the order of conditions. And then they may not have anything that you're willing to approve as an amendment. They have to eliminate the infiltration of the roof.
Under the stormwater bylaw, on a redevelopment, they have to meet average TSS removal of 80% and average total phosphorus removal of 50%.
Yes.
We weren't able to do it.
Redevelopment, yeah.
50%.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Is there any features of the site that would lend itself to a walking path anywhere? I don't know where, I mean, we originally had a concept of generating a walking path all the way from Burlington Mall through the back of Leahy, and then somehow make its way up and end at the Marriott. There was this concept that we talked about. And since you're doing stuff with that, is there anything that you could envision that could you take a look at that? I don't know.
There's currently a sidewalk that goes from
Yeah.
the lower lot up to the Marriott, and that will remain.
But that's not what I'm talking about.
And well, there is also the part, not part of this application, but the Marriott is considering some sidewalk connectivity through the back to the, I'm gonna probably say it wrong, Burlington Woods.
Burlington Woods, right?
Burlington Woods development to start, I think it's in response to the planning board referencing the same.
Do you know the people at the Marriott to talk to ask them what they're thinking? I mean.
I can show you what they're thinking.
Oh.
But it's just really connecting through the Marriott. Brad, I don't think it was in the slide deck, but it might be in the back. Oh, no, you've got it here. So that one works. So the Marriott, these again are not part of our application.
Right.
But they have some just sort of vehicular improvements at their drop off. And then talking to the planning board, was to create this connectivity, right? The sidewalk on Mall Road, we have a connection to bring our folks directly out to the sidewalk on Mall Road. There's sidewalks along the driveway here, again, connecting these two buildings, but then to introduce a new sidewalk out, and this is the Burlington Woods development. So again, creating connectivity from the Mall Road through here, where it goes from here, that's, I think, out of our purview, but it was in response to how do we start creating some of that connectivity? So
Are you thinking of a sort of a path conductivity around the entire site?
no, I don't think there's really an opportunity through here.
Okay.
It would be down in the wetlands.
Well, around your buildings I'm talking about.
Yeah, this is really back of house back here.
Oh.
So the connectivity is on the front of the building.
Oh. Okay. All right, so maybe just give it some thought in case there is something that can be done to enhance it. I mean, Burlington is really bereft of a lot of good walking conductivity from place to place to place. And it would be nice if every time someone comes in like you folks, that we ask them to think about what can be done. I'm not sure there's much that you folks can do, to be honest, but maybe you could you put it on the list to look at?
Absolutely, and like I said, it is a planning board focus as well, so
Right.
I'm sure we'll be talking with them on the 16th when we go back.
Yes.
But that was.
Tell them that we asked about it.
Sure. And John, maybe when you conduct your site walk, you could take a look and see if there's anything jumping out at you. From my walks back there, there's some pretty steep slopes that go right to the bottom of the wetlands. So it doesn't
lend itself.
There's no obvious path. There's nobody walking back there today. It's right along the edge of the highway.
Right.
It might not be the right opportunity, which is why we put the path up.
I understand.
Traditional sidewalk. I understand. I think I understand what you're trying to achieve. I'm just not sure there's the opportunity here, but.
I understand the steep slopes going into the wetland. Yeah, I know. All right. Is there anything else from anyone? The next meeting is July 14th. And I assume you'll want to come back and talk more?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Does that sound right?
Are you gonna make a motion?
Vote to continue?
Motion to continue.
Yeah, could I have a motion to continue the hearing for 1 Burlington Mall Road to our next meeting of July 14th? Second?
Second, Ed?
All right, could I have, all right, Ed, how do you vote?
Really premature.
Ed?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes by a vote of 400. 1 Burlington Mall Road hearing is continued to our July 14th meeting.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
all right, thank you very much.
Don't have our green cards back.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's a couple of days.
But you got to take your phone number.
We did.
Okay. Next, we have a continued public hearing, proposed revisions to the Stormwater Management Bylaw, General Bylaw, Article 14, Section 6.
So as Bill pointed out, the deadline is fast approaching for the submission of the warrant articles, so I think,
It is prior to the next meeting, I think.
right. So I know Eileen met with the,
Is that somewhat of a placeholder in case there's a?
yeah.
What is the final deadline for getting the actual stuff to town meeting members?
Oh, well, we have to submit, I don't know if you just said that he was just saying something, I'm sorry. By June 28th is the deadline for submitting to the warrant article, but then there's a print deadline. I'm not sure, I think it's something like July 9th or something. So there's 10 days or so leeway if there were to be something.
Were you thinking that you would write up some kind of a backup explaining the rationale of what we're doing and why?
Either that or possibly a video, because I think that's what a lot of people are doing, just to.
Really?
Yeah, that's what we did last year as well, and nobody had any questions for us. It'll be something like that, but can I tell you what happened the other evening? Because there is something to tell you.
With the video?
No. So I met with the bylaw review committee for what I hoped, and it should be the last time, but fortunately or unfortunately, Susan Cadillac had some concerns based on how it had ended up and the way things had been written, that she wasn't sure, and I kind of agree with her, that it was exactly what we intended. The way it was written is that we're asking we're asking for engineered plans for any disturbance over 10,000 square feet or any additional impervious of over 5%. And she was thinking that that didn't sound like what we were discussing as we went along, that was very onerous for the homeowners. So what we agreed to, what the bylaw review committee voted on, is they voted to accept all of the changes that you have now seen, except for one thing, pending your approval. And the thing is, let me pull it up and share it with you.
And also, it all completely knocked down and rebuilds require the stamp plan.
Yes.
All new houses.
All new houses require, and did Susan Cadillac agree with that?
Yes, she did. She was okay with that. It was just that she felt that and I totally see her point, if we're asking for fully engineered plans for only a 5% increase in impervious, that on smaller lots, that's a really fairly small addition, and that's a pretty.
I see, okay. I actually wondered about that, now that you mention it, I forgot about it.
So, I kind of felt, and I didn't want the whole thing to flounder the last second either. So what we proposed was that the only change, let me make it bigger so you can actually, I'll read it out.
Is she online tonight?
No, she was happy with it all except for this little tweak.
Okay.
What we had said is for projects involving construction of new residents, of a new residence, or for projects on existing residential property, proposing an increase in impervious of, we're now suggesting 10% or more of the total lot, or for projects with a total land disturbance of 10,000 square feet or more, or for projects including any filling more than 6 inches. The erosion control plan must be stamped by a professional civil.
Okay, so let's go.
The stamped plan from 5% to 10%.
Okay, so let's go over this.
Okay.
Abbreviated permit will be generally required for projects that are between 5 and 20,000 square feet of land disturbance, and for greater than 5% of additional impervious surface for an abbreviated permit.
Yes.
Okay, and there's no, and what about for filling? Does it also include filling greater than 6 inches?
We don't really talk about that.
Okay.
It's just one of those two things.
Okay, one of those two things. Now, within that category, if it's 10,000 square feet, not 5,000, we require a stamp plan for land disturbance.
Yes.
And for the additional impervious, we're going to leave it as 10%.
If you're open to that. Just for the engineered plan.
Well, what is it for a full, what is the threshold for a full permit?
Well, it's also at 10%. So no matter what, we're going to still get a lot of stamped plans, but it would just skip the ones that have a relatively small additional impervious. They'll still do a permit with me. I'll see them. I'll be able to eyeball them, but it might only be a small enough thing that we just say, just do a
10% of additional impervious surface.
An increase in impervious surface of 10% or more of the total lot.
Of the total lot. So if you have a 20,000 square foot lot,
then it's
10% is, what you're saying is, it doesn't trigger the threshold for disturbance, but it might trigger if it's 2,000 square feet or greater, additional impervious surface. So at 2,000 square feet or greater, that's, say, 30 by.
I think her bigger concern was for some of the smaller lots. If you're putting a garage on a small lot, you suddenly have to do.
Right. For a 10,000 square foot lot, that 5% is only 500 square feet.
Right.
Right.
Which is a garage.
20 by 20 or something, yeah.
Right.
Oh, 10% of, you mean we have quarter acre lots in town, is what you're saying?
We have 10,000 square foot.
Yeah, so.
That's quarter acre.
Yeah,
So that's 10,000 square feet, and 10% is 1,000 square feet. I see. Unless you have a sliding threshold, if you have a 20,000, maybe it gets too complicated.
I don't want to have to go back to them again. I mean, if you're not in agreement, then we will, but, so if you are, it will also change it in one other place, which is down a little bit further, where it says, upon completion of an abbreviated permit, upon completion of, sorry, for project completion, upon completion of a permit involving construction of a new residential property, an increase in impervious surface of 10% or more of the total lot size, a total land disturbance of 10,000 square feet, or filling more than 6 inches, the applicant should provide certification from a PE that stormwater management features were installed as designed.
Is that the same criteria for the stamp plan?
Yes. We're just switching the change from 5% to 10%. And she was okay with that. And the rest of the bylaw review committee was okay because
So
one of the most technical knowledge in that sense of building.
So if you did a 30 by 30 addition, that's 900 square feet, which would be a large addition. And then if you did let's say it was a 2-car garage underneath it, you want to add a driveway, a big driveway. So a big,
Well, if you're increasing your driveway, there'll be an extra.
well, that would be like 30 feet wide by 30 feet, maybe 35 feet. So that's 10,000, that's 1050. So that would be over 2,000. So if you put in a really large, let's say you have a single car garage and you want to add 2 more garages, which seems to be the thrust these days. You could end up with a lot of pavement for the driveway and you could end up with a large addition. So we wouldn't see too many that would be triggered by something like that. Is that
We
correct?
still see the permits,
Right,
but we wouldn't see the engineered plans,
right.
certification by a PE that it had been installed correctly. Till they get to be a significant size addition.
Okay, so now, anybody in the commission have a comment with this? Indra, or Ed or Bill? Do you have an opinion on this?
I was only looking at what I've got right here. A 2-car garage is 18-foot driveway wide.
Yeah.
And you're looking at much less surface covered with pavement than what I'm seeing from the last discussion. I think it's smaller. That's what I'm saying.
No, it was 5% before, would trigger the requirement for an engineered plan. Now they want to make it, Eileen is proposing 10%.
So is that because they,
Additional impervious surface, 10% of the entire lot size. So 10% of a half-acre lot would be an additional 2,000 square feet of additional impervious surface.
Or total land disturbance of 10,000 square feet or more. If it reaches 10,000 square feet, it requires it. But on a small lot, it would require it if it was 10% of the lot. But it says impervious, 10% increase in impervious surface, or.
Of the lot size.
Or a total lot, project with a total lot disturbance of 10,000 square feet.
That will generally only happen with a couple of very large additions or a full house.
Yeah, but you just calculate something that was 20,000 square feet. If it reaches 10, it's going to get this requirement also.
Well, no, it's not 10,000. It's a 30 by 30 is 900. 2,000 is the threshold. So if you had
10,000 is the threshold.
No, for additional impervious surface.
10,000 square feet of total land disturbance. Yeah. That's not total, that's not
That's
impervious.
land disturbance.
Oh, my mistake. That's not impervious.
So what we're saying is
okay, gotcha.
10% of a half acre is additional 2,000 square feet.
Yeah, I got you.
So how often do you see additions of like 30 by 35? That would be half of that.
yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
There are some you see the additions bigger than the existing house. I mean, it happens occasionally.
So essentially, by agreeing to this, what we're saying, Eileen, is that The only time you're gonna get a stamp plan under an abbreviated permit is when it's a knockdown rebuild.
Then it won't be an abbreviated permit.
Right.
It'll be-
Knockdown rebuild is the full permit.
Is it?
No, it's not.
Oh, I've forgotten.
All new houses? Yes.
No.
No,
it's not.
no, that's right, it's not, but it needs,
But
but it
if
needs an
it's a,
engineered
if
plan.
tear down and rebuild, it
It
does
all
need an engineered
automatically
plan.
needs an engineered plan, right?
Right. But
Well, less than 20.
But this would affect commercial developments a lot more than residential. Right?
that's not what we're trying to achieve here.
No, I know that, but there's still a lot of new restrictions on residential.
And what happens if we, what happens if we say on a small lot, quarter acre up to a half acre lot, it's can't do, you don't want to have no,
It's way too complicated.
it's too complicated.
Yeah.
What was their reasoning for wanting it dropped to 5%?
Because on a small lot, a 10,000 square foot lot, 5% is a garage.
Basically, yeah.
And she just felt like that's asking quite a lot to get a property owner to get fully engineered plans for just something relatively small, or a small addition, you know what I mean?
Well, I guess I agree with that.
Yeah, I would too. I don't think it's a bad change.
I mean, I don't like it, but at the same time, I want it passed. But, so I think we can do it and see how we go with it.
There is still some text in here that says if we have discretion of requiring one if there's certain unusual circumstances or something, isn't there?
No.
No, that's not in there.
Again, that gets just messy as well.
Right.
It's easier to just be
We
straightforward.
had something in there.
Discretionary. We'll just be open to,
Yeah,
people saying we're playing favorites or
Yeah.
something. You don't want to go there.
yeah.
I'm not against going to 10%, especially on small.
Of course, I think the issues where we've seen things are not only just large additions, but then where there's been a lot of filling and grading and.
We don't see that a lot, but that the particular one you're thinking about was just caused a lot of trouble because the people just didn't let it go. But we did want to get engineered plans for houses and the very larger additions. And we are still getting that with this.
We are still getting knocked down and rebuild, right?
Oh, yeah. Every single tear down and rebuild does require.
What's that?
They'll probably start slowing down, I would imagine.
The recession will take care of that. The high interest rates will take care of
Interest rates are going up, yeah.
Yeah.
Affects it a lot.
Yeah.
What's your recommendation, John? I haven't heard too much from you.
I mean, I'd really rather see the 5%, but I think, we're running out of time. We've got agreement from, person from the public who represents the building community, who's been part of this process and supports the 10%. I say we just go with that at this point, and if it, evaluate it in the next year or two, and if there's projects that are slipping in that are problematic, we can always revisit it.
If it's not a problem, you let it go.
Right.
Right. All right, that makes sense. I mean, we can always go back and say, tell town meeting, we've had a problem with this, we're adjusting something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Modifications.
Okay. That sound good to you?
It does.
How about Bill and Ed? How does that sound? I mean,
You're leaving it at 5? Is that,
and Ed, what?
you left it at 5?
No, we're gonna keep it, we're gonna,
10, right?
gonna keep it at 10% of additional impervious surface.
Right.
And we will get, for any knockdown and rebuilds, we will require a plan that is stamped by an engineer with certification that it was installed as stamped. And only the very largest additions and disturbances would require a stamp plan, is what, to an existing house.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I also agree. Yes.
Should they vote on that change?
No.
It's just an agreement? Okay.
All right,
Confirm to the bylaw committee that you did.
yes. Okay, so we all set?
Yep.
All right. And I mean, it may turn out that it's actually a non-issue, because if you don't have issues with a lot of the additions, then
Right, and more of them are going to come to us anyway, so we'll at least be able to just see them and, you know, they're aware we're looking at them, you know. There's a certain power in that.
you're a force to be reckoned with, Eileen.
Well, he did call me his enforcer the other day when somebody complained.
Did you really? Okay, so we're gonna keep the hearing open?
So it doesn't matter. I mean, I suppose you can close it. If you need to tweak the bylaw, I mean, the purpose of the public hearing is to take public input. I think we've had about as much as we're gonna get, so you could probably close it.
Yeah, and we can't change it even by the final print date.
Right.
For the next meeting.
Right.
You know, so.
Yeah.
All right.
This is what's going forward at this point.
All right, could I have a motion to close the public hearing on the proposed revisions to the Stormwater Management bylaw under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 and Section 6?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All right, Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The hearing for the change, proposed revisions to the Stormwater Management bylaw, the hearing is now closed by a vote of 400. Okay, next on the agenda is planning board comments.
Is there anything you wanted me to tell the planning board about 1 Burlington Mall Road from this hearing?
We asked about walking paths. This is an opportunity for increased connectivity. And,
Make the building as green as possible.
and
Test beds.
the applicant has requested to do test pits during construction, and we did not necessarily agree yet to that.
Okay.
And so forth.
I'm sure their hearing's gonna be open for a while.
Yeah.
They don't even, well, you said they don't even appear before them till the 16th, so we actually have another meeting, I think, before.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, before they even go to the planning.
All right, subcommittee and staff reports, anything further?
Just one thing, so, a week from yesterday, Wednesday, June 29th at 10 a.m., we're gonna have a dedication ceremony for the newest conservation parcel on Chandler Road, which is adjacent to the Mill Pond Estates, which is subdivision as approved.
This, who's gonna speak?
You, all the conservation commissioners who show up should be prepared to say a word or two. So I've sent out by email invitations to a lot of people, so we'll see who shows up.
And this is,
Bob and Greg said you can park on their cul-de-sac.
where is that?
It's adjacent to this land.
The new subdivision that is being built.
Oh, okay, we can park there?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, and, that's it.
And,
Of course, the reason for this is because the deed, we finally got the deed recorded, so it's officially town land now.
okay, and how many acres is it?
It's not, it's.
Is it an acre? 1 acre?
It's about an acre, I think, roughly, something like that. But it has a vernal
But
pool.
it's a
and it
lovely
has
kitchen.
Yeah, it gives us.
Connectivity.
Yeah, right. It gives us official access to the Mill Pond Conservation Area from the road there. There used to be formerly on Chandler Road, there was a trail that went in there, but it was on private property, so it wasn't really official. So, and it went right through where one of the houses is. So we bumped it down closer to Mill Street and put in a trail there. And it's already, Rob, our former land person, put in the trail, put it on the map, so it's already mapped and everything.
Okay, that's good. All right, and other business?
I need signatures. Right?
By the way, I'm trying to get an answer from the Registry of Deeds. Some conservation commissions have managed to do electronic signatures. I'm not sure that the Middlesex South
Registry is accepting them. I know some of the other Registry of Deeds are, so I'm trying to get clarification on that. If so,
It would make life wonderful if we could just do electronic signatures. But
But for this week, yes, we need extra signatures, please.
right, so the two of you who are here virtually, we need you to come in and sign.
Okay. I can do it for sure on Monday, I'm not sure about tomorrow.
No, Monday's great.
Okay.
All right.
Tomorrow, will it be ready tomorrow?
I'll say what?
Will it be ready tomorrow for sign?
Yes, yeah, the signature sheets are ready now.
We've already
Okay,
signed them. They're ready for signing, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Okay, other business. I got a call from the chair of the Board of Health who was talking about that the Board of Health is taking a critical look at the area across from Staples that has experienced continued flooding over the years and with no abatement. And they're talking about that they think it's because maybe I misinterpreted what was said, but they're talking about that it was because our order conditions requires cleaning of the catch basin and the pipes leading into or out of it or something, and that they haven't been done, and that would cure the problem. My understanding is that the solution is, although that may be true, that may not be the solution to their problem because of other reasons. So John, would you be willing to give us a rundown on that?
Sure. So there's a meeting at the Board of Health Tuesday night on this, 7 o'clock. So today I reviewed all the emails. There's emails going back about 5 years on this. But in one of their most recent emails, they did say that they did clean the basins and the culverts last October, I believe. So they clearly don't think that the maintenance of those are the issue. That in the past, they've cleaned out the giant basin, which is a big deal. They have to go through natural heritage because the bridal shiners swim into that basin from Vine Brook, so there's endangered species in there. So they've gotten permission twice to go in there, clean that out by Bacter. And it fills back up. So obviously it's either filling up because the brook is overflowing or the catch basins in the parking lot are working and the sediment's going into the basins from the parking lot through the pipes. The problem is really the parking lot is too low and there isn't much, there's basically groundwater at the elevation of the parking lot. But we'll see. They said, they haven't given us the actual documents, but they said that they cleaned all that stuff out last October. They're of the opinion in their emails that it's the town's responsibility because the elevation of Vine Brook is too high. It's the town's responsibility and not theirs. Back to the Board of Health, I mean, I think it's kind of at this point, a legal issue. I know I had to send some of my emails to town council.
I mean, as of May 14th, 2021, the owner of the property says that they told you about the cleaning that they did, and they want to know what the town is doing to restore the water elevation in Vine Brook. Drop the water. They want you to drop the water elevation within Vine Brook to its original level. They want to know what we're doing about it.
I don't know where they get that from. I mean, or how they proposed for the town to drop the elevation. It's not realistic, obviously.
Well, why do you think we give you the big bucks, John, to figure this stuff out? So clearly they think it's the town's responsibility to do something, but it's not very practical to change the elevation of Vine Brook. No. And chances are with the amount of additional rain that's anticipated to increase the frequency and intensity of storms, their problem there is going to get worse.
Right. They're in the floodplain now, and the floodplains are just going to get worse, right?
So just filling that parking lot higher is not a solution because of floodplain issues.
Right. Yeah. You'd have to do compensatory storage.
And have they looked at compensatory storage anywhere else?
I don't think so.
Do they need those spaces? I never see a demand for them. Really.
Majority of the time it's empty.
Yeah. The only thing I ever see in there is ducks and water.
Nobody wants to park in a pool.
But I mean, it's not like you no other place to go either. There's plenty of parking there.
Yeah.
I've never seen it challenging to find a parking space. So, I don't know.
What about filling it in, but not by pavement? Just fill it in. Is that still the same issue? Make it grass.
You can't fill it in.
Make it a
Oh,
rain
you mean turn their parking lot into vegetation?
Yeah, rain garden.
That would be fine if it was at the existing elevation, but I don't think they'd want to give up their parking spaces.
Okay. I mean, they don't seem to be coming up with any other answers.
Right. Well, that's the purpose of the Board of Health, hearing next week. I mean, they claim they've done everything that they can. I mean, obviously, they haven't given us the records over the years, but they have done some maintenance. And it's probably not very effective.
Is there anything further our old order conditions require that they're not doing that would help the matter?
I mean, they haven't adhered to the conditions. So, I mean, they weren't their original order of conditions. The conditions were issued to the Gutierrez company who built the plaza and owned it for some period of time and then sold it to these people. And for years, they didn't maintain it as Gutierrez had. But I think the problem is much more serious than merely cleaning out catch basins.
I think the Board of Health, if they do the cleaning, that will solve the problem.
Right.
And well,
according to what their consultant said, they did clean them at last October. So, I mean, if they didn't send records, but he said they cleaned the pipes and the basins last October. So
we're asking for the records, obviously. All right, well, we'll see what happens at the meeting. At least you're going, right?
Correct.
I mean, if I can go or someone else on the commission wants to go, we can go there and listen in person, I guess.
Best I'd be tuning in.
Okay.
I assume it's hybrid.
Yeah. All right, upcoming meetings. The next meeting is July 14th, 2022. We have one meeting in August 11th. All right. The next thing is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All right. Ed?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes, indeed.
And the chair votes yes. This meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission is now adjourned.